What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of The Truth here on the Outlaw. On the John Rocha channel. Whoa, almost blew it there. Thank you so much for joining me live here, 6 p.m. PT on the West Coast, and wherever you're joining me live at, I appreciate it. Or if you're joining me later, thank you so much for joining me later to watch my thoughts on all the stuff we're going to talk about here on the show. There's some things I've laid down, some markers in the ground for topics we're going to talk about here on the show. But to be honest with you, we can go to a lot of directions, go to a lot of places. Because the reason I'm doing shows all this week live on the channel is, I've had some people reach out and tell me how the holiday season is a really tough time for them. And you guys know my story. For those who've been following me for a long time, you know how I had some really tough year in 2016 and the 6 months afterwards when I was diving into the deepest of depression. And that was right around the Christmas season, which was really bad for me that year. Into the new year of 2017. And I totally understand when this holiday gets to people, when it affects people, when it, sparks some of the tougher conversations, tougher feelings, tougher moments, and all of that. And so I thought I'd do my part and go live this week every night, including Christmas night. I'm going to try my best to go live for a couple hours on Christmas, either day or Christmas night, depending on how our schedule goes with the Lady Outlaw and I to figure that out. Christmas Eve, I've got a dinner we're going to, but maybe I'll go live after dinner or I'll go live earlier in the day. Depends on the situation. But yes, that's what I'm absolutely doing. I hope you all are enjoying your holidays the best you can. I hope you like the new setup here. I've kind of rearranged some things in the room, and this is the setup now. I got my little Santa hanging out with me there. Got my Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow hanging out, the old camera, the old mic. Let's see, I got some of my movies here. Godzilla -1, Blade Runner 4K, and then got my Mandalorian poster chilling out behind me. So that's the setup for right now. We'll see what changes. I did buy some new, slats behind me to put up, but I bought them 1.5 inches too big, too long, or tall rather. So I'll either going to put them horizontal, or I'm going to cut them and put them in vertically behind me. But you're not seeing too much wall space. But I think it'll make an aesthetic look. Make a look that's aesthetically pleasing for people as well. And maybe if I can figure it out, I'll be able to line up like little lights in between the panels, which will be fun to see. So just little plans I'm doing to kind of make the studio look a little more warmer, a little more inviting. And I'm also going to move the camera a little further back. I bought a new tripod. I've also got a teleprompter, which I bought myself over Black Friday. So little steps, little things like that, piece by piece. I already incorporated the new lights, which are great. I think I'm getting a nice even lighting across my face, which I appreciate. It's a pretty penny. It ain't cheap, y'all, but it's best to if you want to give a good product, this is the way to go about it. So I think this is pretty awesome as well. So I hope you guys are enjoying your holidays, enjoying Christmas, and doing the best you can with yourselves to enjoy that. We are here on the channel having some fun. We might be doing a live show tomorrow. I know we usually do Spill the Tequila, but we're a little bit on the fence right now with the schedules and everything going on. So we'll see what happens, but I'll announce something in the morning. Geek Buddies, and it'll be me and Michael Vogel not going live, but we'll be doing a show on Wednesday. Is that right? Wednesday? Here, I'm trying to even this out a little bit more. Yeah, on Wednesday, I think we're going to put up a show. And then, of course, we'll be back later on in the week. We'll be doing a review of Pluribus later on in the week. But on the show on Wednesday, we're going to review Avatar, Fire and Ash, and then we're going to trying to figure out some Christmas-themed topics to talk about on the show for the Geek Buddy. So if any of you want to suggest Christmas-themed topics that you want Michael and I to talk about on the show later on this week, please send them in the comments thread, and we'll take them under advisement. And speaking of the comments thread, Streamlabs Super Chats are open here on the show, on the John Rocha channel, on The Truth. So please send them in as we go along. We'd appreciate it. Already seeing some people who've sent some stuff in, which I appreciate madly. But yes, I am here live tonight, maybe for a couple hours, maybe for 3 hours. Depends on how many people show up. Depends on how many people, kind of need to hang out and talk. I am here. I am available. Yes, I would appreciate Streamlabs Super Chats, but if I see a question in the chat that I feel I need to address or can address, or it fits in the mood of what we're trying to do here, which is to create a space where you feel like you can come to a place and hang out and have fun with us, then I will address it. But that's how I'm approaching this. I'm still getting used to using these AirPods. I don't want them sticking out of my head like I'm some kind of alien. So this is my life now, and this is what I'm doing tonight. And I got to tell you, Really appreciate you all joining me live. We got almost 100 people joining me live, so thanks so much for hanging out with me as we go about things tonight. Yeah, but yeah. All right, I think that's all the well, what can I say? Everything is good. Lady Outlaw's been out doing a bunch of errands today. She's off for the next week for the holidays, paid leave. They do that with the job that she's at, so she's going to get a chance to catch up on her shows, hang out with me. We're going to watch a few movies. It's going to be a fun time hanging out with us over Christmas. And then next week, I'm going to meet up with the Geek Buddies live. We're going to have a nice Christmas dinner, which I like to do every year. Take them out to dinner as a thank you for doing the show and having fun with everybody on the show. And so we'll take care of that. Cinephiles, Steve is heading off to New Zealand tonight. He is off to New Zealand tonight, and we have dropped our second part of Annie Hall. For those of you who listen to the Cinephiles, we finished off Annie Hall. It's almost 4 hours, the second part, because there was so much discussed in that film in the latter half of the movie. And then we just recorded A Christmas Story, and that's going to be one whole episode that will drop on the 23rd going into the Christmas Eve holiday. So you'll have a new episode of the Cinephiles on Christmas Eve. And then the next 2 weeks, we're taking off, so to speak, because we're not doing a movie over the next 2 weeks because Steve is traveling until the first week of January. So we have a compilation of shorts that we are going to release, that we picked out our favorite shorts from the year, which are only for patrons, but we have compiled some shorts for everybody. So those are going to be shorts that we picked out our favorite shorts. So it'll be like 4 shorts next week. And then the week after will be another section of 4 shorts. It'll be about 2 hours and 20 minutes each show. So that's going to be what's going to tide you over until we come back in January, and we'll be doing the Rob Reiner season of Rob Reiner in honor of the passing of Rob Reiner. We will dive into his story and his journey as a director and as an actor and as a producer and as an activist on a live show. And then from there, we're going to jump into redoing When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, and possibly Stand By Me. There have been quite a few requests for that, but that wasn't in our plans. But one of our patrons has reached out and said they would like to contribute to get us to add it. And we do have a tier where you can contribute a certain amount of money, and then we'll do the movie. And so we may be making an announcement about that very soon as well. So keep an eye out for that. But that is the plans so far. We are going to bring you entertainment all week here on the channel. We do not go dark during Christmas. I've learned my lesson that if you go dark during Christmas, it takes like a month and a half to build the steam back up on your channel. That was a mistake I made a few years ago. I went dark for like 7 or 8 days. Fucking channel went dead for 2 months. It was the worst thing I'd ever experienced. I had no idea that was a thing. So now I learned my lesson. I do content sometimes pre-recorded, sometimes live. Yeah, live is obviously easier because you guys can tell already. I just like to talk. I'm open to things. But we will be having content on the channel all through the next 2 weeks through the holidays to keep you company, and also hopefully to lift up your spirits, make you laugh, make you smile, and maybe take you away from the darker elements of the holidays. So hopefully you guys are cool with that. So, all right, let's see. We got so many people in here. Let's get into the first thing. Let's dive into this. Well, the information is out. James Gunn has chosen his Brainiac. That's right. It is happening as we speak. James Gunn has chosen his Brainiac. It is German actor Lars Aidinger, who will play the super intelligent antagonist Braniac in Man of Tomorrow. Gunn confirmed the casting in an Instagram post on Saturday morning. He wrote in the caption, "In our worldwide search for Braniac and Man of Tomorrow, Lars Aidinger rose to the top. Welcome to the DCU, Lars." And of course, Braniac's been around since 1958. It's created by writer Otto Binder and artist Al Plastino. And Man of Tomorrow marks, of course, the first appearance of him in live action. Man of Tomorrow will come out July 9th, 2027. And Aidinger recently appeared in Noah Baumbach's film Jay Kelly. He was a German cyclist in that film. He was also in Dead Language, The Light and the Dying. He was nominated for Best Film. The Dying was nominated for Best Film at the 2024 International Film Festival. He is repped by UTA. And that's what we know about this guy. We don't know too much about this guy. I think a lot of us don't know too much about this guy. If you do know a lot about this guy, congratulations. You've watched a lot of movies, both foreign and domestic, and you've got your finger on the pulse of the great actors of multiple countries, Lars being one of them. Listen, so this is an interesting situation because I ask in the caption and I ask in the thumbnail, are we excited? And there's just a lot of things around this that I'm wondering about overall what the approach to this is, because we look at the situation here. A lot of people were speculating, people who have sources, have knowledge, have connections in the business, speculating that it was going to be Dave Bautista or Sam Rockwell or Claes Bang or who was the other person that they were considering? There was like 4 names that were out there that people were looking at as rumored to be Brainiac, and all of those names eventually did not pan out for one reason or another, and they went with this German actor. Now, to me, this raised some alarms. Now, I get it. A lot of us want to believe, well, the best actor got the job. He auditioned, he beat everybody he auditioned for it, right? But when you look at the situation and you look at how this has all come about, I have to say, I notice a few, not red flags, but flags. Let's just say flags. I'm not even going to put a color on it, just flags to take a look at here in this situation. All right. Lars Aidinger is not known by most people stateside, and you're making a Superman movie and you're casting a guy who's not that well known to play your main villain. And then you're announcing it on a Saturday morning. That is not the time to announce a big casting decision that you want everybody to be excited about and make videos for. That isn't when you do it. You do it on Monday morning or Tuesday morning. So you have the whole week and the whole news cycle to see people getting excited about it, doing interviews about it, doing videos about it, exploring all of this stuff. Again, I want to make sure this is really clear. This is a nuanced conversation. This is not a commentary on Lars's acting ability. Lars is a good actor. I've seen him in some stuff. He's damn good. Did he stand out in those stuff? Not really that much, but he's delivered good performances. So this is not a knock on Lars Aidinger as an actor. I want to make that very, very, very clear. But you have to look at this thing and wonder, why isn't it Bautista? Why isn't it Sam Rockwell? Why isn't it Claes Bang? God, I can't remember who else the other person was. Does anybody remember who else the other person was? Please alert me to who the other person was. I forget who the other person. Matt Smith. That's right, Matt Smith. Matt Smith was the other one. Look, those names, except for Claes Bang, I think, those names would have carried much more weight and attention. People would have been more into that situation and been excited to see that name pop up for them. But we didn't get that here. And the question becomes, why? Why didn't we get that here? Why didn't we see that here? And I think it's fair to ask the questions. I know James wants to push this idea that, it's all a fair race and everybody got in the mix and blah, blah, blah. But when he was asked about the other people who were possibly going to be part of this, and I don't know if I can pull this up here on Twitter, but he said essentially that though he didn't know if those people even auditioned. I mean, he literally said that. I don't even know if they auditioned. You're James Gunn. How do you not know if these people auditioned for you or not? So it's a little bit disingenuous, and I think there is stuff going on behind the scenes, and he's doing his best to work within the parameters that WB has given him. And I have heard from a couple of sources that there are limits to James Gunn's budgets for the movies that he's doing. A lot of people see that and they go, that's ridiculous. They would never limit him. He's amazing. We don't know what the internal machinations of that studio is and the financial situations that they're in. Remember, this is a studio that's about to be sold. Yes, they had a nice run of movies recently, which drove up their price, and you have Netflix and Paramount battling out to have WB. Netflix obviously in pole position in the driver's seat here. Paramount flailing around today as we saw some of the news items, which we might get into later on in the week here with the conversation. But this is what you see. So we don't know what the financial situation of Warner Brothers is. We don't know what Man of Tomorrow falls under in terms of the financial umbrella and the money they can spend to make the movie. It is very possible that there is a limit to what they can do. And I've heard that there are limits on James Gunn's budgets in terms of what he can use. So a lot of people this morning, when I said this on Christian Harloff show, were like, no, Man of Tomorrow costs more because of all the stuff. Yes, the special effects. Yes, all of that stuff they spend the money on. It ain't the actors. And so that's the situation where you look. So it's not a negative connotation. It's just a truth, a fact, possibly, when you look at this. People have to remove judgment from the truth, right? If this is the truth. If this is the truth. Again, I'm getting it from a couple sources. Doesn't mean it's the truth, but it could be, right? These are people I trust. So, and they're very adamant about it. And so for me, I look at this and I go, well, this makes sense. You know, Matthias Schoenaerts wasn't going to count. It didn't cost him that much money. Millie Alcock wasn't going to demand a large amount of money because she's coming out of a TV show. Rachel Brosnahan wasn't going to demand too much. David Corenswet wasn't going to demand too much money. Yes, you've got Jason Momoa, but I don't know what the situation there is because remember, Momoa was, to lack of a better term, drowning in the Aquaman situation because those films were coming out, weren't being that well received. The first one certainly critically destroyed, made $1 billion though. But then the second one come out was basically a lame duck. And maybe he felt he wasn't getting a chance to really be who he wanted to be on screen and got a chance to play Lobo. We've seen the video of him reacting and going, woo! We've seen all that, right? So he's really excited to play it. So there might be a different tier that Momoa is on. And yes, these movies have made money, but, you know, Momoa doesn't, these other films that he's done or these other TV series that he's done, I don't think there's that much of a demand money-wise. I think Momoa just wants to keep acting. Batista's a different case. Now, I believe this, and it may not be true, right? Dave Bautista may come out and say it's all bullshit, but I think he has a quote. I think he has a number, and I think Dave understands the business, just like he did in WWE, and there's a number you have to hit in order to get Dave Bautista in your movie. Now, there's other films like the smaller films he's done and some of the straight-to-streaming films he's done. There's a certain number, and that's for him to keep working, right? There's not an expectation that he's going to, but you're not going to pay like Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage does a lot of straight to DVD movies, straight to streaming movies, right? He does a lot of those movies that aren't that great, whatever. But if you're going to put him in a feature film that is from a major studio, the price that he's asking for is completely different than the amount of money he's asking for an independent film or a medium-sized film or a small film, because he knows that there's limits to that budget. So if he's committing to do the film, for him, it's working. It's training his skill. It's working on his skills, training his skills, and putting them out there in a film that might get some attention. Things like Mandy or The Surfer or what have you. And I think Batista does the same thing. But when you're going to a feature film that's this big from a major studio in a comic book movie, there is a number you have to hit. Now, again, this is what I don't know if this is fully 100% the truth, but this is what they told me. And I hear this and go, this is very possible. And this, a couple of sources are people who've gotten a lot of things right in the past. And so it is very possible when you look at this, he is not casting big names in his movies. He is trusting that he, as James Gunn, can make the people who come into his movies big names. So he's working in that way, right? I mean, Chris Pratt was not a theatrical superstar. Zoe Saldana was certainly a good actress and a name, but she wasn't a top of the line leading a bunch of major films kind of actress. And you look at all the Karen Gillan was coming out of Doctor Who, right? The Batista was coming out of the WWE. Yes, you have Bradley Cooper, but you don't even see him. You have Vin Diesel, but you don't even see him. So it's a different situation we're looking on into the Galaxy. Or sorry, it's a similar situation when you look at Guardians of the Galaxy and look what he was able to do. So again, just because the budgets might be limited and he's only like he can only pick certain actors to fit into the roles that he's got, it doesn't mean that he's not casting great actors or good actors who can deliver great performances. Certainly his track record proves that out, right? Corenswet, people love Corenswet as Superman now. I bet over half of the people who went to see Superman had no idea who David Corenswet was, but they went to see it and were excited. Maybe more than, maybe 70% didn't know who David Corenswet was, went to see it, loved him as Superman. Now they like him. Now let's see if David Corenswet does a movie, if people show up, or if that was the brand of Superman that got people into the theater. So these are the things you look at, right? Rachel Brosnahan was pretty much well known with Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and a couple other things that she was a part of House of Cards, other things like that. So that was a different chance you were taking, but she was perfect for the role, and she was great as Lois Lane. Nathan Fillion's not going to break your budget. Mr. Terrific, he's not going to break your budget, right? Isabella Merced, she's not going to break your budget. So these are actors that are good actors that are at a certain level financially, and you can get them to be in your movie. And he does a really great job casting his films with the approach he has. And so I think that's a fantastic way to look at it. Yeah, he brought in Kurt Russell for Ego, but of course, Kurt Russell isn't demanding what he demanded back in the 80s and 90s, right? It's a different quote when you get Kurt Russell, but you got him to come in, you stretch the budget a little bit, and he does an excellent job, right? Michael Rooker's not going to break your budget. His own brother is not going to, Sean Gunn's not going to break your budget. So these are these approaches. Even Suicide Squad, right? Well, you got, who'd you have? Who'd you have in the, yeah, he had Idris Elba. He's not going to break your budget. Quite a lot of people in Suicide Squad. John Cena wasn't demanding top dollar. Joel Kinnaman's not going to demand top dollar. Margot Robbie was probably your one person who could demand a little bit. But again, Margot Robbie at the time wasn't necessarily having like a string of hits, but she was a great choice for and she was cast under Snyder. So it was a different situation. It wasn't cast for James Gunn. It was a different director for Suicide Squad. She carried over into the Suicide Squad. And so you see that situation, Daniela Melchior, she's not going to break your budget. And so these are the approaches. And again, this is not a negative connotation that he is perhaps hamstrung by the budgets and having to only work within certain constraints. And he's finding the best. This is like what the Oakland A's or a baseball team or a sports team rather. And like, look, there's only so much you can spend on salary. And so you need to find the best players that you can afford for that salary. And I think this is a fair thing to take a look at. With you look at across the board, there are not that many big names that are involved in all of this kind of stuff. And so again, just because he's working with the limits of the budget does not mean that's an indictment on James Gunn. It's more a matter of WB as a studio is looking at the situation going, well, it's the brand that sells. So if the brand that sells is what sells, and we do good on the special effects and on the CGI and all of that kind of stuff, then the film itself will sell whoever the actors are in the film. That'll make them stars. And again, as I said earlier, James Gunn has a track record of doing that. All right. And I just want to make that really, really clear when we talk about this situation, because I do believe this is the situation that he's in. When you look at Matt Reeves, you got Pattinson, who comes out of multiple franchises demanding top dollar. Scarlett Johansson comes in. So on the Matt Reeves side of things, they're spending money. Colin Farrell, they're spending money for their actors to be a part of this situation. And so I just think with Matt Reeves, because that movie made more than Superman made, there's a different approach to it. Batman is a more bankable moneymaker than Superman is right now because of some of the issues with Man of Steel. And then, of course, going back to Superman 4, even Brandon Routh's Superman, it hasn't quite had the same mix. Whereas you've seen multiple Batman kill it, right? Fucking Michael Keaton. I thought Val Kilmer was good in Batman Forever, but people can hate it or like it, whatever. Christopher Nolan's Batman, now Robert's Pattinson, right? So you've had 3 separate Batmen who came in and were like gangbusters with their opening movies. And it's a bankable character. And you get good directors and they do a great job. Superman is a little more troublesome, not because the character is troublesome, but because the history of it financially in the box office has been a bit troublesome. Yeah, on the small screen, Superman and Lois, fantastic. Tyler Hoechlin, incredible as Superman in the couple episodes that I've seen. And so I know a lot of people loved that show. Adam Hlavak over at Heroes Reforged, he loved that show. And so you see that situation and you go, okay, that makes you're going to spend the money here. We're not going to spend the money there. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's just the situation. But I think some people get really offended. Like, no way DC wouldn't give James Gunn, $5 billion to make this. That's not how it works. Remember, these are not the only films that are being made at Warner Brothers. And remember, they gave a lot of money to these other artists like Maggie Gyllenhaal, like Paul Thomas Anderson, like Ryan Coogler, to go and make their movies to try to redeem their reputation after the day and date stuff from COVID happened. And a lot of directors didn't want to work with WB because of the decision they made to put stuff out on streaming the same day it was coming out in theaters because of COVID. So they had to kind of repair that a little bit and then bring filmmakers in and give them budgets that they normally wouldn't get anywhere else because they want to make it clear to the filmmakers and to other filmmakers that, hey, we're a place you can come and do artistic films and we will fund the films. That's just for now. I think as we go forward, especially with the sales situation, I think those belts are going to be a lot more tightened and it's not going to be quite as they're not going to be spending, they're going to be quite as liberal with the money they're spending on these films. It's going to be, I think they're going to tighten up the budget a little bit. Now, when Netflix takes over, we'll see. If Netflix takes over, which seems like it's going to happen, but you never say never in Hollywood, and nothing is sure until everything is done and settled. So it'll have to be that. It'll have to be them figuring out where are we going to spend the money. Now, I think if Man of Tomorrow comes out and it is gangbusters, then of course James will have earned a little more leeway, a little more space. He can spend a little more. But I just think this is the way he makes films. And I think he likes doing it this way. And another thing to think about, and I want to make this really clear, is you've got a still newer actor in David Corenswet. Let's say you bring in someone like Matt Smith or Batista or someone else that, and no, I mean, Dave's a good actor, but I don't know if this applies to Dave necessarily, but certainly if we're looking at Sam Rockwell, we're looking at Matt Smith. Let's say you bring one of those guys in to be Brainiac and he outacts David Corenswet. Like people are talking about Brainiac more than they're talking about David Corenswet. That's not what you want in your Superman film, right? A lot of people complained about that with the Batman movies. A lot of people complain with that with the Spider-Man movies. Why do you have to bring so many people into the Spider-Man movies? Why can't Tom Holland do a solo Spider-Man movie? Why does he have to have Iron Man's help, Doctor Strange's help? Why can't he just be his own thing, right? And I think that's a fair criticism. I think that's an absolutely fair criticism to look at with Spider-Man. But with Superman, I think it's such a still kind of getting back on its feet, little wobbly type of situation. If you bring someone in who's going to outact David Corenswet and people are cheering for Brainiac, that's going to be an issue for you as a director. And these are legitimate things that people take into consideration. I used to direct plays. When you cast plays, you have to be really careful about who you're casting and what role. You have to figure out the chemistry of the play and if it's going to work. And you got to figure out am I leading everything to the lead of the play? Is everything working in conjunction so the lead of the play can stand out? Because if I have someone else who's better than the lead, then the lead's message might get lost. And the lead is carrying the message of the play, just like a lead is carrying the message of the film. And so I think it's really important to understand that. Nicholas Hoult could go toe-to-toe with David Corenswet, no problem. Nicholas is a chameleon. He's an amazing actor. He works well in all formats, like the great, commercials of smaller films. Like he does a really good job. He's a fantastic actor. But again, Nicholas Holt's not going to break your bank, right? It's a different situation. So I think these are the things that you have to look at realistically and where you're at. And so I think that's what happened here. I think that's an element of what happened here when you look at all. But again, it's not because James Gunn doesn't deserve it, doesn't merit it, isn't worth it. It's more the matter of, well, they have a certain budget they have to work within. And James wants to spend more of the money on the special effects, more of the money on the CGI, more of the money on the visual effects, because he knows that's the big thing for a lot of people when they come to see the superhero movies. Look at Avatar, right? How many reviews have you read of Avatar that lead with, what an incredible story? I was really transfixed on the characters and the journeys they were going on. No, almost every review is leading with what? Amazing visuals, stunning, jaw-dropping special effects, battle sequences that had me sitting on the edge of my seat, right? It is not, the story is amazing and groundbreaking, and I felt it in my bones. That comes later on in the review, if it even comes at all, or there's a little blurb that says, the storyline was a little weak, some of the stuff was repetitive, but the battle sequences, it's like that, right? And he understands that's the thing that's important for people when they come to see movies, is the visual effects, right? I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy had incredible visual. I mean, I remember when I lived in LA, I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy. They released like a 6-minute sneak peek. And that was all they did, by the way. It wasn't like the Odyssey was before a movie. It was literally invite only. Or you could, it was for free. You had to sign up. I was invited because I was working at Collider at the time. And I brought along Shannon McClung. And we went in from the Geek Buddies. And we went in, we watched the six minutes, which is the whole prison escape sequence in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what they released. And that's it. You just walked in, sat down. I think you put on 3D glasses, watched the 6 minutes, and then you left the theater. There was no movie afterwards. It was amazing. It was so cool. And I was absolutely stunned at the visuals in that movie. Just stunned at the visuals in that movie. And then you add in the humor, the jokes, the action sequences, and the way they move around in that sequence. And you're just like, this is amazing. This is great pacing. So smart. So, whatever my issues are with how James Gunn handles himself on social media, he delivers damn good movies. Yes, do all the jokes work? No, but overall, these are satisfying experiences when it comes to movies. So saying that he's got a limited budget on who he can cast and who can't cast, that's not it's not a negative connotation. It just may be the truth and the parameters with which he's dealing with, because you have a studio that is being lined up to be sold. With Matt Reeves, it's a different situation. They can validate that money being spent because Batman during COVID, the Batman almost made $800 million. And that's amazing. So I think those are the differences when you look at that kind of situation here. Again, I just want to make it clear. It's like I'm not trying to bash, but I'll be honest, because the question is in the thumbnail. Am I excited? Not really. I'm not that excited about him because I don't know him. And a lot of people coming out of the Supergirl test reactions said the weakest part of the movie is Matthias Schoenert. And Matthias Schoenert is not going to break the bank, but he was cast to play the villain. And the villain, what they're saying is the villain is a bit flaccid, not that strong, not that great, not the best part of the movie. So you go with a cheaper choice, and who's a good actor, but he may not be that interesting for a lot of the domestic audiences here in the States. And so that's going to be curious to see if Brainiac, because it's your first appearance of Brainiac, you're going to bring an unknown in. It's a heavy load he's carrying to try to bring that character to life in Man of Tomorrow. People love Brainiac as a character. Will he get it right? I think he's going to act the F out of the role for sure, but will people be that excited to see him in the role? I guess we'll see when the trailers come out. I guess we'll see when the first images come out. But I just have a sneaking suspicion that this isn't going to be that most people aren't going to be that excited until they see the movie. So, and that's what the question is. Are we that excited? And I have to say for myself, I am not that excited about it. And so we will see. I'm excited about the movie, but I'm not necessarily excited about the choice. And again, this is nothing against Lars Aidinger. I just think I think there might have been other choices that would have made sense, that would have been a bit more exciting for people to go like, yeah, hell yeah. So we will see. Yeah, Brandon, you make an excellent point. An audience, again, I said no damn idea, Mr. Yeah, but Mr. Terrific wasn't the lead of the movie. He wasn't the lead bad guy. He wasn't pitched as the lead bad guy. He wasn't, his head is not on the cover of the script. He was one of the ensemble characters in the Justice Gang, or whatever it was called. And yes, he stood out. But again, my point still stands. He brings out great performances from these actors, but it doesn't mean that he isn't working with a limited budget. All right. Again, I have to stress these things because some people just cannot handle nuance in their brain and complexity. Like a lot of people got mad at my tweet when I called out James Gunn for not being 100% truthful about the Braniac situation and playing the semantics game. Even my brother Mike Kalinowski had an issue with it, and we had a little bit of a mini back and forth there on social media. And I think this is James plays games on social media, and he likes it. He likes the attention. He likes the drama. He tries to play innocent about it. Like, I don't know why people get so upset. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows exactly how he's playing things. And so me calling it out, people are like, why you get so upset? He doesn't owe you anything. You don't have to tell him what. No one is saying that James Gunn owes anybody anything. And I'm going to go real slow for those of you who might be watching who don't fucking get it through your heads. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that he owes us anything. I mean, people keep defaulting to that narrative. That's not it. The thing is, what he doesn't need to do is lie or play with the truth or play semantics. Well, I never said he wasn't in the movie, but I never said he was in the movie. I never said he wasn't. And it's like that kind of game is unnecessary. It's just unnecessary, and it's attention seeking. And I think that's the thing that is frustrating. Like when he says that he wasn't even sure if those three big names auditioned. He wasn't even sure if Sam Rockwell, Dave Bautista, or Matt Smith auditioned. Are you kidding me? Of course he'd know those three guys if they had auditioned or not, for God's sake, especially because Dave is his friend. Of course he'd know if these people auditioned or not. So it's that kind of like shell game that he plays with people that to me gets a little frustrating when you look at the situation. But I'm not butthurt. I don't get upset. I don't go, oh my God, what is he doing? And I carry it with me and I think about it all day. I literally posted my tweet, went to hang out with my girl, did my thing, watched some football, and then came back and saw some responses. I just move on. I tweet and move on. Yeah, do I occasionally come back and go back and forth with people? Of course, but I'm also watching football or watching a movie or hanging out with my lady Outlaw, watching a show or something, because it's nothing. It takes no effort for me to go back and forth with people, literally none. And so for people to make it a big deal, like I'm all up in my shit, or somebody said James makes me insecure this morning on the Christian Harloff show, which I thought was hilarious. So it's these things that these fantasies people make up in their minds about stuff because they just can't handle someone being a contrarian to their point of view. And I think this is important to have balanced takes on the situation, on any situation. And so, I always find it to be fascinating that you can't say anything negative about James Gunn and how he's playing around with social media, or else you're seen as some kind of, butthurt, angry person, which of course it couldn't be further from the truth. I'm a passionate guy and I get passionate about things. And then when the passion is over, I move the fuck on. Like, it's not that big of a deal. When this show is over, great show or good show or decent show or bad show, whatever, roll right on and hang out with Lady Outlaw, watch some stuff tonight. Literally, there's no skin up. I don't sit around thinking about it and, oh, was it a good show? Was it not a good show? No, I just kind of do my thing and move on, and that's kind of how I live my life and operate and how I do things. Now, other things that are personal, if I make a mistake on personal shit, yes, of course I dwell on it so I can do better next time, right? But most of the time when I post stuff or tweet stuff out, I'm moving on to the next thing a minute later. It's not that big of a deal, but people make it a big deal. So I just want to make it clear. All right, I'm taking it. All right. So so that's the situation there. We'll see what happens. Obviously, there's still more casting to come. Rumors of Wonder Woman. I tell you this, I don't think we're going to get big names for Wonder Woman or Batman. At this point, if there is going to be a James Gunn Batman, I don't think this is going to be a massive name. It's going to be a known name. Like a lot of people want Adria Arjona for Wonder Woman. Could very well be her. But again, Adria Arjona is known because of Andor, but she's not, you know what I'm saying? Like the general public is completely aware of who she is. She's an up and comer. She's a solid actress. I support her career. I want her to be successful in every way, shape, or form. But if she's Wonder Woman, that's a low-key name. Gal Gadot, bit of a low-key name as well because she was in the Fast and Furious franchises, right? But as soon as it was announced, all her stuff about being a model, her Israeli stuff, like all that stuff came out. It became a big deal, right? With Adria Arjona, I don't know if that's going to be the case. And with Batman, it's going to be the case. But I think there's a reason for that. And that is James has a vision for what he wants to do with his DC films. And his vision is everything leads to Corin Sweat. So he has to cast according to what he thinks will make sure Corin Sweat's shine. Yes, the other people will shine as well, but he clearly sees Superman as the tip of the pyramid of the Justice League. And that's where he's going with that. Aaron Pierre is not going to take too much attention away from David Corin Sweat. Aaron Pierre is about, maybe on the same level, a little bit lower in terms of ability and status and knowledge and awareness by people. And so these are the things you have to understand when it looks at casting. In my opinion, when you look at casting, you have to see how this is done, right? Vin Diesel made the mistake of casting The Rock. Now, I say the mistake for Vin Diesel, not mistake for The Rock or for us who were enjoying. But he brought in someone who could take the attention away from him. And it is no surprise that him and The Rock had issues on set because they're both alpha dogs. They both are used to being the center stage person. And they didn't like that the other one was trying to undercut or take too much or have too much attention or whatever. So you had both of them like two pit bulls there banging heads or two rams banging their horns because there was jealousy. This is Hollywood. This is really important. A lot of people live in this fantasy that everybody in Hollywood is like really nice and sweet. Everyone's cool. And I tell you this, one of the best people who do what we do in this business is Gray Drake, because Gray Drake can get jokes and smiles and great interviews out of anybody. And it makes you think that everybody is just the sweetest person and there's no ego and we're all working together to bring the project to life. And Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm not saying there isn't good people in Hollywood. Of course there are, or aren't good people in Hollywood. Of course there are. There are some really nice people in Hollywood. But there's also, when you get to the upper levels of status of Hollywood, the ego really takes over. The branding really takes over. The potential of money making and money losing stuff takes over. So there's more pressure. All right. And so when the pressure's there, and someone is always coming behind you to take your spot. This is not a situation like voiceover is a situation where, there's not a lot of egos in voiceover. Yes, there are some, but they're not. It's really a rarity, right? Most people are very supportive of each other. In the interviews I've had with numerous voiceover artists, they suggest other actors for roles when they get pitched. Like some of these voiceover people get offered big roles in animated TV shows, but when they think they're not right for the role, they'll turn it down and say, you should get this person to get that person. When have you ever heard anybody in Hollywood going, you know what? I'm not right for the role, this big feature role. Why don't you give it to my competition? Like happens maybe 5 times in the centuries of Hollywood. That's probably ever happened. It's just not the way Hollywood works or live action Hollywood works. And so it's not surprising that James goes, well, listen, I want to construct and cast my DC with Corn Sweat in mind as my tip of the pyramid. So I have to cast so that everything leads to him. It doesn't mean they can't all be equal. They can't all have these great moments and really kick ass and shine. But I can't have Wonder Woman taking attention away from Superman and Batman when I cast her. So it's that kind of approach that you have to look at when it comes to these kind of things, and these are really important to look at. And look, I think James is an incredible director. I love almost all of his movies. I really do. I thought still think 1 is the best of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I thought 2 was good. I hear the complaints about some of the comedy. I get that. So yes, I agree. I thought 3 was good, but I didn't think it all worked as well as other people did, but I certainly enjoyed it. Right. So he's never not Superman. I liked Superman. I just bought it in 4K during the Black Friday sale. Because I like that movie so much and I want to watch the special feature. So my criticism of James is not about his work, not about the end results, not even about his process of casting. It's more a matter of like how much of the stuff that he puts out there is telling the truth, how much of it is self-serving. And when he goes after like bloggers or news people, it really frustrates me. Like my brother Sean O'Connell over there at Screen Rant, Sean and I are bros. Sean's been on my show. I love Sean to pieces. He's a really good guy. I think Sean's a damn good writer. If you haven't picked up any of his books, you should definitely read his books. He has a great book on the Justice League, the Zack Snyder one. He has a great book on Spider-Man that came out. He's got a book on Bruce Willis, which I think is out. And if it hasn't come out yet, it's coming out. Sean's a great writer, but Sean is on this campaign, on this crusade. And we talked on a message app the other day about this whole situation of him calling out Jeff and all this kind of stuff. And Sean is like, well, see, these, the scoopers and the journalists, all this kind of stuff. I get it. I know there's a lot of people who have issues with that. And I totally respect that. Right. But I also think it's not that all these scoopers are wrong. I think things like with Jeff, a lot of these people who do this they have sources, and they have sources inside the camps of these people. They do. Because what? People love to talk. Jeff has hookups with agents, managers, smaller actors or medium-sized actors. I mean, he was getting DMs from a certain actress who was incredibly excited to try to go and get Wonder Woman. And she wanted to know what he's been hearing on the inside about who's in the running, right? And the things, so people sitting behind their keyboards who have literally no connections to Hollywood, judging, and I don't mean Sean, I mean like the fans, judging someone like Jeff who makes it his career, his job to cultivate relationships with people on the inside of the business. I just think it's insulting when people try to go after people like that, or Boris Kitt, or Justin Kroll, right? Those guys, or D'Alessandro, those guys, they spend their lives, their careers, developing relationships with people who are starting out, even like junior agents and assistants that eventually get moved up. They've established relationships, so they get information, right? And I think this is the thing that sometimes people just want to believe that people are coming up with stuff out of thin air. And yes, there are some people online who do that, and I'm not going to deny that that's not an element of some people. But people like Jeff or Boris Kidd or Justin Kroll, those are not the same people as other people online who do scoops and sourcing. So I just want to make that clear when you look at all of this. So I get where Sean is coming from, but I don't think Sean is coming after us because Jeff has worked for a number of big publications, and Jeff takes pride in being a journalist. He takes pride in his training as a journalist, as a journalism major. This is something that's really important. So I get the propensity to go after people, but Jeff like double sources his stuff. So we'll see. All right. So Rocha, Gun for Life. Rocha, go a day without bash. I mean, I literally just spent the whole time praising James Gunn. I don't know, but this is what you have to deal with. These are the kind of people you have to deal with. There's like literally they take a brick, they shove it through their ears, and they have a brick inside their brain. They go, only one way of thinking. And it's just kind of what you have to do. And so I have to add extra stuff and explain how I like all of James Gunn's films, how I like his ability to bring out the best in the actors that he casts in his movies, how I think he's an excellent director. But because I say he's got a limited budget, people are like, you hate him. It's like, yeah, well, how do you know? What do you know about it? Oh, I know what I read in the trades. Exactly. So, these are the things you have to deal with sometimes. So, all right. So anyway, there we go. That's all the stuff that it irks me. But those are just jealous people, bro. Calvinists, we got to look. And that's what I'm becoming really focusing on in 2026. These are jealous people who don't get to do what we do. Drew McWeeny, Alonso Duralde on the Rotten Tomatoes Instagram, they put a clip on him talking about how people have come after critics and claiming that they don't love movies when they don't like a movie that person liked, right? And that's the thing. If someone does something you don't like, for some people in this business who are fans and who watch, when someone does something they don't like or dares to call out something, they immediately attack their whole overall existence, their credibility, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, that's what you deal with in the business. But I've just come to terms that those are the people who are just jealous of what we do, and not jealous because they want to be me. It's more a matter of they're jealous because they wish they were a person who was on there talking about movies and people watch them, or they could be able to influence the perception of a film to go on to align with their opinion of a movie, but they don't. So what's their next step is to attack critics or attack their sources or attack the credibility. Never mind, they have no idea how credible a person is, but they feel emboldened, they feel empowered, they feel privileged to say that kind of stuff. And so you just have to take it with a grain of salt. This is the game over and over and over again. And so be it. I mean, there's a great line in Godfather Part 2, right? Hyman Roth says it to Michael. This is the business that we've chosen. And when you choose to be a part of this business, this is the criticism, especially when you're outspoken or opinionated as I am, Jeff and other people, this is the game. Even people like Greg Alba, who is about as, fair as possible in all these kinds of things. Even he gets shit from people sometimes and criticize him in the comment sections and question his credibility and all of this kind of stuff. So even if you're the nicest person or people think you're, uniformly the coolest guy, they're still going to question you. There's no way out of that. And that's the business we've chosen. And so when I see people who say, I want to get into you, but I want to do YouTube, I always go, well, here's my advice. Find your voice, get a good camera, get a good microphone, watch other people, hone your craft, and put it out there. And if you can't handle the criticism, if you can't handle having your whole life, your whole existence questioned, if you can't handle death threats, if you can't handle a lot of the negative shit that comes on with being a YouTuber, then you really shouldn't do it. If your mental health is not that stable, you should not do YouTube or any front-facing job, because you will absolutely come in for criticism and it will absolutely mess you up. I was watching something recently. What was I watching something recently? They're talking about it. Oh, I can't remember what it was. Oh no, it was the Counting Crows documentary that's on HBO Max. If you guys haven't seen that, I highly, highly recommend that HBO Max documentary. It's so good. Look, I love the Counting Crows. Judge me if you want. I didn't even know there was a backlash towards Counting Crows till I watched the documentary. I was like, what the fuck are these people talking about? That Counting Crows is an incredible band musically, one of the most amazing bands ever, and lyrically an incredible band. And Adam Duritz is a fantastic singer. And I had no idea that there was this backlash against Counting Crows from way lesser bands who everybody's forgotten about by now. I had no idea, right? And then I watched the thing, and it's really a lot about Adam's mental health. And so again, as I'm trying to go live every night this week to help people who are maybe in a bad spot or not feeling so positive about the holidays or struggling with the holidays, this is a thing to think about. This is a thing to look at. Definitely watch this documentary because we go into Adam's mental health journey from being a nobody to having almost overnight success off of Mr. Jones and the album The August and Everything After, and then his second album Crashing and Burning to a degree, how he responded to all of that. So I highly recommend it. But there's a sequence in the documentary where the band members are talking about the criticism Adam was getting after he became successful, that there was all this praise initially for August and Everything After, and then there was this massive backlash from the writers of the the snooty, self-important music writers were coming after Counting Crows, and fans took the cue from the writers and went after Adam Duritz. And they say for a year he went into like a deep depression because of it. And so people don't think that piling on is going to cause all kinds of issues for people who are front facing. So I tell you, if you want to do this, I encourage you 1,000%. But if you're someone who can't handle being criticized, who can't handle who you are as a person being called into question, your tastes being called into question, and possibly even death threats, then YouTube is not the place for you, dog. It is not the place for you. It is a battle. I'm just after almost 6 years, going to be 6 years next year. I am just finally understanding how to weather the storms of YouTube and people coming after you. At some point, you just kind of have to laugh it off. And most of the time, 90% of the time, I laugh it off. Sometimes I go toe to toe with people back and forth, but it never works out. Like almost never do the people go, you know what, I get it. There's never, they're looking for that attention. They usually have one subscriber or like 11 subscribers, but they say the most offensive shit and they're trying to goad you into a battle. And sometimes, when I'm not, when I don't have my strength all the way up, like in the morning or something, I'll respond and that leads to a back and forth. It never really is productive, right? And so 2026 is going to be much more either about removing comments or just not responding to them at all, or removing them from the channel if they're way too cross the line. And pretty much everyone I've removed from the channel, I've done so because they've said some pretty condescending, insulting shit to either me or about my co-hosts. And so to me, that's usually the line where I take you off because I don't care. I mean, I just do not care. You got to be, I want to create a community that's good and strong, caring, fun, interesting. Doesn't mean you can't debate, doesn't mean you can't have back and forth, but I don't want people in here bringing their anger and their hatred, their unhinged hatred in their responses to stuff, because that never leads to anything constructive down the road. So I'm kidding, no drink. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find my way. Sam, I'm trying to find my way through Man in the High Castle final season. Yellow Jackets up. Yeah, I hear about Yellow Jackets. Everybody says Yellow Jackets is really good. So we will see when I get around to it. All right, let's hit some of these Streamlabs before we jump into the Odyssey. Jesus Christ, 54 minutes. Holy shit. I really never know how long I'm going to go when I start on a topic. I got to tell you guys, I think it's only been 15 minutes. Like, this is how my mind works and my mouth works. So I apologize. We spent 54 minutes on the James Gunn thing. Now someone will go, you spent 54 minutes talking about it, but you're not butthurt. And it's like, it's that. That'll be the next comment. Corn Emperor, have a wonderful show. Hooray for movie news. Thank you, Corn. Appreciate that, buddy. Wiley, what's up, Wiley? Did you see that Michael Jackson was in the Epstein files? Doesn't that prove to others that he is a creep? Crazy we get a movie on a pedo. I think it's a bit harsh, Wiley. Nothing has been proven overall in the court cases. It doesn't mean you can't have your own personal feelings or your own personal opinions about it. I dealt with some people who responded to my Michael Jackson trailer reaction with such anger because I dared to not necessarily say that Michael was, Michael was free of all charges and clean. I have my own personal opinions. It feels a bit shady, but it is what it is. So to me, I look at that situation that way. And so for me, I thought the trailer was amazing. I can't wait to see the movie. I loved Michael Jackson, still do, really. I still listen to his music because all that stuff was never fully proven. And so you have to come up with your own feeling about separating the art from the artist. And again, I don't think that's a generalization. I think art from the artist is very case dependent, right? You can say, I don't want to listen to this person because of this. But you can say on the other side, well, this other stuff wasn't necessarily proven. So for me, it's not enough to keep me from listening to this person. Like lately, I've started watching some scenes from The Cosby Show. And yes, I think what he did was abhorrent, and I absolutely believe he did it. But there are so many great stories on that show, and so many great actors who didn't do any of that shit. The late Malcolm Jamal Warner, Felicia Rashad, Keisha Pullum, Vanessa, all the different actors that are a part of this. None of them did what Cosby did. So does that mean I can't enjoy the storylines on that really well-written show? I can't go into nostalgia and enjoy that? Well, I think that's not true. I think I can. But again, it's a case-by-case basis because there are other shows I won't watch because certain people are in those shows and certain things were proven about them down the road. So it's all case-by-case. Derek Johnson. Oh, thank you, Derek. Oh, man. Thank you, dude. Thank you for coming in tonight, bro. I appreciate it. That is so kind of you, Derek. Thanks so much, man. Thank you, dude. You're the best. CC Black 1987 says, saw BND trailer. Sadie is definitely Jean Grey. Oh, so you saw the Brand New Day trailer. Yeah, a lot of people saw the leaked trailer and saying that Sadie is definitely Jean Grey. Well, I mean, Jeff reported that first, I think. Jeff's one of the first people that reported that she was Jean Grey. So for all those people who are coming after Jeff Snyder's sources or Jeff Snyder's credibility, what do you fucking say now? What do you say now? Right? So yeah, not surprised if it's true, not surprised. This Philip Bryan says, Merry Christmas, John. Merry Christmas to you, brother, man. Have a bourbon on me. Oh, I will. Thank you. You, sir, inspire me and others, I'm sure, to pursue creative endeavors. I wish you continued and ever expansive success. Oh, thanks, Philip. I appreciate that, brother, man. Thank you, dude. Thank you. You've been here for a long time on this channel. I'm always happy when I see you, man. There are regulars who come. It's like a bar, dude. It's like Cheers. The channel is like Cheers. Phil comes through the door. Phil, so it's awesome to see you. Calvin is another one. A lot of people who come through here, I really appreciate. Jay Scotty for real. All the regulars who come through, it means the world to me. Karen, everybody who comes through, it means the world to me that you all hang out and keep continuing the stuff or keep supporting the stuff I do as I work through things, as I try to make a better channel for everybody. It means the world to me. So thank you so much. Wiley, of course, another one who rolls through here. Mike Joyce, Darren Wright, of course. Darren, my brother over there in England, in the UK. So, I appreciate you all hanging out with me tonight for sure. You guys are the best. And it's an honor that so many of you are willing to come back all the time. And Clarissa, of course, God forbid I forget Clarissa, who's always coming in with her special brand of comments about stuff. So I appreciate that. Dancing Dog 6 says, I agree with you, John. Jake Paul's a grifter. He's made a mockery of boxing. I guess the days of Leonard, Camacho, Hearns, Hagler on HBO are gone. Yeah, man. Don't forget Sugar Ray. Oh, you did Sugar Ray. Yeah. Tyson as well. Like the greats, man. The greats. Remember those events? I still watch old boxing matches every once in a while when I'm going down YouTube wormholes. Like I'll watch Evander Holyfield boxing matches or Roberto Duran, or I watched Hagler and Hearns the other day, the 3-round fight. That was amazing. And so was it 2 rounds? Two or 3 rounds? That was amazing. And so, yeah, I still go back and watch old fights. Some of Ali's old fights as well, just because it's amazing to remember those days. Haskell, what's up, Eddie? Happy holidays to you and Lady Outlaw. Thank you, man. I hope you finally get to Netflix episode 6 episodes. Last Samurai. Yes. Yes, they just greenlit season 2. I saw that as well, Ed. Yes, absolutely. Top 10 series of 2025. Your jaw's going to drop at these fight scenes and these plots. I can't wait, bro. Listen. The next 2 weeks is me taking it easy. Yes, I'm going to do a live show and I'll do like one video, but I'm going to spend the rest of the time watching all kinds of shit. So Definitely going to watch Last Samurai Standing, especially because it's only 6 episodes. I can finish that in the day. So thank you, Eddie, for keeping me on task to finish that off. I also need to finish Blue Eyed Samurai. I only got to 5 episodes of that. I know I need to finish that as well. Secular Monk 6527 says, who is a critic you think doesn't get enough press? Someone who you feel should get more of a spotlight. Oh, I think Bibiani. Hands down. Bibbs is almost, I never see him on shows. I never see him be a front-facing guy, rarely ever. He writes for the Wrap. He writes for a number of sources. His reviews are amazing. I always champion Bibbs and think he should get more attention for the things that he does. Who else is that? A lot of my Nestor at Nestor Cine. I think Nestor is great. My brother Scott Menzel from HCA. Although, some people can take or leave some of Scott's reviews. I think Scott had delivered some excellent reviews as well. I think my girl Maggie Lovett over there at Collider, that's my homie. She writes some fantastic reviews when she gets a chance to write them. She doesn't write as many reviews anymore as she used to, but because she's hosting so many of those panels on all the different Comic-Con stages across the country. She's doing incredible work doing that. So we don't get to see her. Rosie Marks is someone who I think is amazing in her writing as well with some of her reviews. Jana on camera, my Brazilian friend there from the HCA and CCA, she's great. Wendy Lee, Wendy's reviews are fantastic. I think Wendy does a great job with her reviews as well. Is there anyone else I can? Oh, of course, Griffin Schiller, my boy Griffin. Griffin and I, we don't always agree, which I like, but we stay friends, man. We're very passionate about our points of views. And if you're not listening to him on Film Speak, and I think he's on Awards Daily. Is that right? The Eric Anderson one? I think he's on that. Griffin is a great guy to listen to as well. And my boy Patrick Beatty there in Utah. See It or Skip It, his review show. Patrick is great with his breakdowns and his analysis of movies. I don't review as often as I would like to, and that's got to change in 2026. But you guys know I just like to talk about films in the course of a live show or whatever, and this kind of how I'm built. But I watch those guys able to hammer out those reviews consistently and constantly. Great stuff. Like all of them are great. I love them. Lawrence Arnoli says, happy holidays. Thank you, Lawrence. I like that photo, bro. Respect, bro. Paul Hitchcock says, Yellow Jackets is good, but I prefer the new show that speaks more to my personal experiences, background. Wasps. Oh, boy. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Wiley says, Rocha, what is the most... Woo! Rocha, what is the most movies you've seen in a single day? For me, it's 5. Yeah, it's probably around 5, Wiley. I remember when I went to a DC film festival back in the 90s, and I remember, and this was a young man. This is when I was a young man, so I could go a whole day without needing to use the bathroom, if you know what I mean. Like I could still pee, but the other thing. Now I can't go, I go all, this is my life now. I'm old. But like when I was young, so I could sit in a movie theater and watch a movie back. So yeah, I watched 5 movies in one day at the movie festival. I think it was Untouchables, Color Purple. It was like 2 or 3 other movies. I remember 3 other movies, and I remember just watching them through the whole day. It was amazing. I challenged myself. I was like, I'm going to get in there at 9 a.m. and then just 2 hours later, another movie, 2 hours later, another movie, 2 hours later. It was great, and they gave us an hour for lunch. We could go out and get food from the concession stand or go out and get it, bring it back in. And it was a hell of a time. I remember that, so I would love to be able to do that nowadays, but my body can't hold up for a whole day of movies. It's why I don't go to Sundance or go to those places because, A, it's incredibly difficult to get into the big movies, and B, the amount of time and the eating and bathroom situation, like it just would all get to be too much for me in the end. So the way my body is, unfortunately. So, that's just the truth of life. All right. All right. Let's see here. What else? Oh yeah, let's get into this, y'all. Woo-hoo-hoo! How about this? This happened today. The trailer for the Odyssey from Christopher Nolan dropped today. Incredible stuff. I was blown away by this trailer. And it wasn't even the 6-minute one, right? This was more the relaxed trailer that they delivered here. And I really enjoyed what we got from Christopher Nolan's visuals. I mean, that opening shot of essentially these headstones, graveyards, whatever it was with the armor on it, that was just jaw-dropping from the opening moment. And then we get into this journey and what he's going through and what he's navigating and what he's talking about. No one can stand between me and my men, not even me. That tells you, the selfless approach he's having. It's very Shackleton-esque in that he is going to lead his people back home somehow, some way, no matter what they have to overcome and endure in order to do so. And I thought the drama within the trailer was amazing. We only get one shot of Tom Holland, one shot of Anne Hathaway, I think a shot of his mom at the end there as well. But I didn't see Leguizamo. I didn't see Robert Pattinson. I didn't see John Bernthal. So, but there are rumors that Pattinson is playing one of the slaves or playing. I heard rumors he might be playing the Cyclops monster you see in the movie or in the trailer rather. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I thought this was a great way to get people excited about it. As I said in the trailer, in my reaction like multiple times, it was epic as fuck. I thought the score that the sound cues they used were really good in this trailer as well. And just the general overall approach, the grounded approach. Like when you saw the Cyclops coming out of the cave, he's not this massive, like 40-foot tall thing. He's much more just kind of like 6 feet taller than the next guy. So still enough to unsettle you and the strength and all of that, but more grounded, right, in its approach to it, which I really appreciated. The stuff on the water, very reminiscent of Ben-Hur with the rowing and the madness of war when they're rowing and all of that. I thought was really cool. And of course, that's teeing things up. Those undead creatures coming out of the ground, soldiers coming out of the ground. What is that all about? So much of this was the perfect kind of dark that I like with a movie like this. And so I can't wait to see the end result when that thing screens on for us next year in July. I thought it was, July? Yeah, I thought it was incredible. And I loved it. Yeah. No, it's an official trailer. It's not a teaser. It's an official trailer. That's what they labeled it as on YouTube. So it is an official trailer from what I saw here. So let's see, just to verify, because I don't want people to, get the wrong idea. Yeah, official trailer. There you go. Entirely shot on IMAX cameras. That's another thing. It was shot with the IMAX cameras, a new technology for IMAX. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, right? Yeah, the armor. I thought that massive black armor that dude is wearing was fucking cool as shit. Yeah, them walking through the woods. There might be Leguizamo behind him. I'm not sure who Leguizamo is playing. The shot there, yeah, Anne Hathaway, the look, then him on the boat, which I thought the shots of those ships was incredible as well. Them pulling what looks to be the Trojan horse out of the ocean there. I thought that was stellar. The sword going through the top of the boat there and them covering their mouths so they don't reveal themselves because they're clearly stowing away or hiding away. I thought that was cool. Seeing them jump down and run. And seeing those things come out of the ground were so amazing. But yeah, it wasn't there was enough to show you the scope of this movie, but not enough necessarily to show you how absolutely jaw-dropping the film is going to be just yet. And I think that's his mom at the end who's cradling his face and saying, "Come back to me," which I think is really powerful as well. So yeah, I mean, just a stellar trailer to start things off. So yeah, the armor was dope as fuck. I agree, Kenneth. It was pretty good. Apparently, that's Benny Safdie in the armor. Oh God, I hope not. But okay, we'll see. Is Hank Azaria going to make a cameo? Homer. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Oh yeah, regarding the holidays, KJ47, what is the best Christmas gift that you ever received? Oh, that's really hard. I mean, we were very poor growing up, so I only ever got one Christmas gift from my mom and my dad for the first few years of my life. And then my brother and sister and I would give each other, one gift. But yeah, I mean, so I cherish those presents because we didn't have a lot of money, and the fact that my parents saved up Like I got an Atari one year, which I think is probably my dad had saved up for the majority of the year to be able to afford the Atari for me, which was so humbling. That's why A Christmas Story is one of my favorite movies, because you replace that Red Ryder BB gun with an Atari, and it's essentially what my year was like, hoping and begging and praying for my dad to get me an Atari for Christmas. And it was amazing when I got it, and I played the shit out of that thing. So um, but I don't know. There's a lot of great Christmas. I just did the Trump hit. I don't know. There's a lot of great Christmas gifts I've gotten over the years. A lot of them. I don't want to name names. I don't want to call people out. Some bad ones too. Some pretty terrible Christmas gifts, especially for my son, Don Jr. Couldn't give a gift to save his life. But yeah, some great Christmas gifts. So anyway, yeah, no, I can't say for sure what are the best ones. What about you guys? What are some great Christmas gifts you guys have gotten over the years? I would love to hear it. Would appreciate that. Let me know. We've gotten some Streamlabs that have come through as well. I'm sorry, but I didn't get them first. Anne says, you're looking great, Rocha. Sorry if I missed this, but can you drop the meal plan? What has worked for you? Oh, Anne, yeah. 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I started on the weight plan is called awaken180weightloss.com. Go there and take a look at them. Wonderful people that run that place. It's out of Massachusetts. The woman's name is Paige. She wanted to sponsor the Cinephiles, my podcast that I do. By the way, highly recommend you all trying out that podcast if you haven't tried it out. We average 200,000 downloads a month with our show, which I'm very proud of. But they wanted to sponsor us, and so I was like, okay. And there's like, but are you guys willing to try the plan? And I was at a place where I needed to do something because I was feeling like I was starting to float away. Like I was starting to become heavier and heavier. And the idea of starting at the gym all over again was just too daunting in my mind. And so they reached out to me and they were like, hey, will you try this out? And Steve and I can do commercials for it. And I was like, sure. The first 2 weeks were tough, but then, you kind of find your rhythm with it. And they've completely changed how I view food, how I look at food. And it basically is eating in the morning. I eat 2 to 3 eggs. I drink 80 ounces of water throughout the day. I eat every 2 to 3 to 4 hours. So like I eat breakfast at 8. I have to eat a snack by 10 or 11. Or if I'm skipping my snack, I can eat at 12 my lunch and then maybe have a snack at 3 and then eat my dinner at like 7 or 6, right? And most of my lunch or my dinner is like 6 ounces of protein and then 2 cups of raw vegetables steamed. And it's my favorite is broccolini. I love broccolini. I love asparagus, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli. Those have been like where I've turned to. And occasionally I've gotten salads like Rubio does a great salad, the Mercado salad. If you get it without the cheese, because I can't have cheese, without the corn and without tortilla chips and without the beans, because you can't have beans. That salad is great because it comes with guacamole. I get it with shrimp and chicken. It's the right amount of ounces of protein. And so you can still eat out with the occasional fast food stuff, but it's healthy. And so that's my approach to things. Now, today I cheated because, I felt like cheating today. I'm allowed to do that every once in a while. Lady Outlaw got me a turkey burger from Burger Lounge with the bread. I'm not supposed to have bread, but I wanted to have bread today. And some onion rings. I'm definitely not supposed to have fried onion rings. But, I thought I'd cheat a little bit today. And tomorrow I'll be back on it, eating healthy and doing all those kinds of things because that's just, and I'm not going to have dinner. I'll have a couple of meat sticks for dinner tonight as my meal for the evening because I had a big lunch. And so there's those approaches that I like. It lets me work within the system, and they provide you with like so many nutritional things that you can do, so many different selections of food, and you can buy them at like Whole Foods or Sprouts or Trader Joe's. A lot of places you can go to get that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been amazing, and listen, I would have loved to have gotten down to 200 pounds or whatever, but I kind of like being where I'm at 210, 215. I feel comfortable here because I don't want to lose my size. And I like being a little bit big, not fat, right? Being a little bit big. And so once I start going back to the gym, which I've just rearranged my room so that I can fit my new weights in from Bowflex and my new stepper that I got online. I'm going to start doing stuff here in the room as like in between shows. And so that's my way of getting back now into shape, getting physically back into shape, which will be great for me. So yeah, but that's, I highly recommend them. Awaken180weightloss.com. That's a free commercial for them. Sarah says, I think James Gunn casting nobodies due to budget makes a lot of sense. Yeah. With that being said, I think this seals that he will not do the same for Batman. Batman will have a higher budget, will be someone closer to A-list for balance. I don't know, buddy boy. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah, not buddy boy, buddy girl. I don't know, Sarah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he sees Batman as important as Superman. It's called the Superman saga, right? And I just feel like if he's looking for Batman Brave and the Bold, that's a much more comical Batman, not a series of a Batman as what Robert Pattinson is doing or what Nolan did with Christian Bale. So I don't know necessarily that he will go A-list for balance. It actually might be someone who's still on the come up because they'll be seen as equals, so to speak. So we'll see. But you might be right. Honestly, you might be right. I don't know. I don't sense that, but maybe. Lou says, happy holidays, John. May you continue bringing the gravitas to every discussion. Thank you, Lou. Oh, thank you, Lou. Oh, dude, what a nice donation. Thank you, Lou. I appreciate that, Streamlab, bro. Thank you so much. And Lou, you're one of the regulars as well. Thanks so much for being here, my man. It's very kind of you to send that on. Samuel says, thoughts on Wake Up Dead Man and Jake Kelly, if you've seen them. Yes, Wake Up Dead Man, I liked. Better than the second one. Not as good as the first, but I liked it. And Jake Kelly is not as good as I was hoping it would be, but it got better as the film went along, and it really has a good ending. So that's what I would say. That's basically, and I'll be reviewing these films very soon to have content over the next couple of weeks. Okay, all right, there you go. That's all the questions for now overall. So let's see here. Yummy veggies. How do you cook your eggs? Oh, just sunny side, or I'll scramble them if I've got like limited time and I got to jump on and do a show or a trailer reaction or whatever. Yeah, that's kind of my approach to it for sure. Meat sticks. Is that beef jerky? Yes, but the what's the ones I get? They're not just any old beef jerky. You have to be aware of that because there's a lot of stuff in jerky that can be unhealthy for you if you don't know what kind of jerky to buy. So the stuff I usually get, I know this is the kind of thrilling content you all tune in for, I'm sure. But the stuff I usually get, and you can pick this up. Oh yeah, it's Primal. It's called New Primal. New Primal. I buy it online at Amazon, or they sell it at Sprouts. I'm not a Chomps person. That's I don't like the outside texture of Chomps. I much prefer the New Primal approach to it, and I usually get the turkey sticks or the beef sticks. I didn't like their buffalo chicken sticks or their rotisserie chicken sticks, but the turkey sticks work really good for me. So, to answer that question. All right. Wiley says, I was rewatching The Holdovers and realized it's a movie about being okay with your mental state and trying to be better. I really struggle with that. Do you know any other movies with that message? Great question. To be about being okay with your mental state and trying to be better. Well, to be honest with you, Wiley, there are not a lot of films with that because that's a much more newer concept for films about mental health to explore. And when you go to older movies, you're not going to find as nuanced of an approach to that situation, unfortunately. But let me see if I can look stuff up because I don't have them on the tip of my tongue. And remember, this is the truth, but there's also like a hangout episode. So we are going to go on tangents. We are going to go in certain places. Oh, I think Silver Linings Playbook don't they do that with her where she's at? And, she's a bit unstable at times, but she's also about trying to get people and Bradley Cooper is as well, but she is trying to bring him out to go like, it's okay where you're at, to be a little more accepting of where you're at. And I think there's an element of that as well. Let's see. I mean, does Good Will Hunting count? I feel like Good Will Hunting. Oh, Inside Out. What about the Inside Out movies, dude? Those are definitely about Riley, like being lost in her own thoughts, but then eventually realizing like she's okay where she's at. She just has to be honest with herself and process. I thought that second movie, I may like the second movie more than the first, to be honest with you. I just like that they explore more of the young adult, early teen years of how anxiety and pressure and outside pressure and the narratives that you concoct in your mind can mess with your head. And so I think that's a damn good movie as well that does that. People forget about A Beautiful Mind, right? A Beautiful Mind is how he navigates that, and by the end, how he controls and he lives with the schizophrenia, but he doesn't indulge in it, and he willed himself into that position, which is really rare, which is why it's an incredible story. And he willed himself to be able to function with the schizophrenia, understand how those are fantastical creations of his mind, but still be able to stay in his lane and in his universe. Those are really good ones as well. Matchstick Men, I think, is a fantastic film that explores that as well. The OCD situation. A lot of people talk about Skeleton Twins, the Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig film where their brother and sister. Where they both attempt suicide. Milo and Maggie both attempting suicide. Milo lands him in the hospital, which reunites the brother and sister after 10 years of estrangement. So I think that's a fascinating film as well to take a look at. So those are the films that I can't recommend Perks of Being a Wallflower because I've never seen it, but I heard that that's one that does that as well, Wiley, for sure. John Lawless, thank you, John Lawless, 4559. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you, John. Thanks so much. I appreciate that very, very much. Yes, Ordinary People, SMG reviews are absolutely right. Wiley, if you have not seen Ordinary People, bro, if you have not seen Ordinary People, I saw that for the first time ever this year to do an episode of the Cinephiles on, and it was incredible. And it still holds up, and it was as devastating as people had told me it would be. And the journey that the young kid goes on, Timothy Hutton goes on, it's pretty amazing. And the way they talk about mental health in 1980, I'm just like, wow, how come there weren't more movies like this addressing this situation? So yeah, it's pretty stunning stuff when you look at that. What is this? I have seen 2 anti-Islamic ads during this live cast. I do not choose the ads, bro. I don't know anything about that. So if that's really happening, that is not my cup of tea, bro. Not my cup of tea at all. Let's see. Me, I'm making an omelet. I flip it. Me, I am making scrambled. Yeah, Little Miss Sunshine. Yes, absolutely, Marco. Great suggestion. Little Miss Sunshine for sure. You're right, Jay Scotty. Emotional intelligence should be part of grade school curriculum. I agree. If I ever became president, I absolutely would enact 2 programs from elementary school on, and that is emotional intelligence and financial stuff, like teaching kids how to manage their finances, how to invest, how to save, how to put themselves, how to avoid credit cards, all those kinds of things. I would absolutely teach children from a very early age. But of course, all those companies that rely on people putting themselves in debt because they can't control themselves from spending money. And I was one of those people in my teen years. I racked up like $20,000 worth of debt on credit cards because I was so fucking stupid. Self-destructive, didn't understand how money worked. And I'd spent years with my father paying off my my debt. It was not easy. It was very humbling and embarrassing. And it was tough. It was tough. So I think that should absolutely be the emotional intelligence and money, how to deal with your money. It is frustrating how many people come out of college have no concept of how to deal with their money. I would absolutely do that. Let's see here. Lamar Norman says, good evening, Mr. Rocha. You said a while back you were getting into comics. Yes, there is a digital comic book website called Globe Comics where you can read Marvel, DC, Image comic. Oh, okay. I will check them out. I usually find some sites where I can read stuff on my iPad. So Globe Comics, I will check them out. I got to catch up on Absolute Batman. I'm 2 2 issues behind on Absolute Batman. I think I read the annual, and then I haven't read the Joker one, and that'll be the next one I read. I was been loving that dude. Yeah, smart. Damn, Rook. I've never owned a credit card. I don't spend what I. Yeah, very smart, dude. Keep that attitude, bro. Keep that attitude for the rest of your mother effing life, my man. It is the smart way to be. All right. What else do we want to talk? What else did I put in my thing here? What else do I have picture wise? I mean, oh yes. Do we want to do that? I mean, we're having such a good time. Do you guys want to talk about? All right. We'll do this. Let me bring this up. What else did I have in my description of the video? Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Fire. Oh yeah, Avatar Fire and Ash, huh? Pretty surprising. The numbers for Avatar Fire and Ash. I don't know where it's all going to end up, to be honest with you. I think it's something that I wasn't sure. Do I have a photo for that one? I do not have a photo for that one. Damn it. I thought I had something for that one, but I do not. This is how I kind of do my my time codes is I try to put a photo up at the beginning of every. Here we go. Yes, I can do this one. Can I? Yes. Okay. So this will be good because this is how I do timestamps. A lot of you give me shit about them. A lot of you support me doing them. But yes, there we go. Avatar Fire and Ash. All right. So it came out this weekend. It did, of course, it won at the box office and did gangbuster numbers. But already people are talking about if it's going to be able to have the same kind of power that the second and the first one had. Let's take a look at this article. Let me bring it up and share it with you all. Fire and Ash. Here we go. Oh, what the hell is that? Close. There we go. Weird. So let's see. Let me take this down. There we go. All right. And how big am I? Yeah, let me see if I can make it a little view. Zoom in. All right. Let's see. Does that work for you guys? I think you guys. Well, maybe one more zoom in. Yeah, there we go. I think you guys can read that. All right. So Avatar Fire and Ash ignited with $88 million as its domestic box office debut. It's a decent start. That's what Variety says. It's a decent start, albeit a significant decline from the opening weekend of 2022 sequel, Avatar Way of the Water, which opened with 134 million. However, a larger question looms about the financial fate of the big budget blockbuster. How will James Cameron's third trip to Pandora hold over the holiday season? That's important because Avatar films are not known for fire opening weekends, that's for sure, but rather for their unparalleled box office staying power. The original 2009 epic Avatar debuted at 77 million domestically and remained in first place for 7 consecutive weekends, eventually climbing to 760 million in North America and 2.92 billion worldwide. Almost 3 billion. Jesus Christ. Not to be outdone, the sequel also managed to hold on to the number one spot for 7 weekends, earning up to 688 and made 2.3 billion globally. So $600,000 less. Now, to be fair, Avatar was re-released a number of times to kind of pile on to that number. So it's probably like a little bit less than 600,000. Avatar Fire and Ash debuted in line with projections at the international box office 257, bringing its global total to 345. One of the biggest worldwide debuts of the year, while also registering dramatically behind the second film's $435 million global debut. That's $90 million less. It was projected at 90 to 105. However, based on initial ticket sales, the otherworldly adventure appears to be experiencing diminishing returns. It's unclear, however, what exactly diminishes will look like for the follow-up to 2 of the highest grossing films in history. And Avatar cost $350 million. So this is where the newest Avatar doesn't necessarily need to surpass 2 billion mark to be commercially successful, but it's safe to assume that Fire and Ash needs to become a box office behemoth to justify its massive price tag. 66% of the ticket sales were from IMAX and 3D. 38% of opening weekend crowds were 25 or younger. That's good for them. Fire and Ash has several other factors: an A cinema score, repeat viewing over the Christmas weekend, and Cameron's unmatched record. So yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what you're looking at is a film that slightly underperformed to expectations. So that's going to be fascinating about this. And You know, people all the time online are like, critics don't fucking matter. Critics don't, fuck critics. They don't matter. They don't matter. I mean, most of the time they do. Most of the time they do. Every once in a while, like Jurassic World Rebirth, you know, some films come out and they're critic proof. Transformers films, critic proof, right? But most of the time, critics come and see a movie and their numbers are reflective of how the general public is going to feel about the movie. And that's what's happening here. It's got the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score of any of the three movies on the critic side of things. And so I'm not surprised. And I thought it was just boring. It was exhaustingly too long. A lot of repetitive beats, as everyone has said, nothing groundbreaking that I'm saying here. The last 30 to 45 minutes are the best part of the movie, and that's all the action sequences and the battle and all of that is great, but it is just so exhausting. Some of the same beats. Oh, who's in trouble now? And what do they have to do? Oh, they have to find another tribe. They have to do this. It's also repetitive. Oh, I don't trust my son to be able to lead the tribe, and he's dealing with the loss of his brother, and we're dealing with the loss of our son. Okay. And you have the character, Stephen Lang character, who, of course, if you've seen the movies, he is essentially at the end of the last movie, not fully Stephen Lang, shall we say, the character there. And so there's elements of that, but he just kind of vacillates through the whole movie. And you're just like, well, where am I supposed to land on this? So there's just a lot about the movie that for me, got a little exhausting and annoying. And so by the end of the film, I was so happy it was over. But I would have felt even worse about the movie if the final battle sequences weren't fucking jaw-dropping and amazing. So to me, just read the synopsis. No, and I don't want to say that because I don't want to keep people out of theaters. But you really, the last 30 to 45 is what you're going to enjoy. But I do think there are some sweet moments in the movie. The stuff with Sigourney Weaver's character and what she has to go through and trying to create to Mother Pandora is a fascinating thing. I think Una Chaplin is great as the villain in the movie. She's fantastic. But what they do with the villain is so frustrating. And I'm not going to get into spoilers, but it's just frustrating what they do with the villain with her and Stephen Lang. And so it just becomes that kind of a thing. Edie Falco and Giovanni Ribisi are just collecting a paycheck, both of them. You know, they're barely in it. And you're just like, well, okay. So, but I'll tell you, the Spider Kid, I'm a big fan of that kid, big fan of that actor. I want to see that guy in more things. I liked him. He was damn good in that role. So I hope to see him in more and more stuff down the road. And I can't wait to see it. And of course, the visuals are stunning. Sure, if you're just going for the visuals, you're going to have an enjoyable time. If you're going for the story to give a shit about these characters, I think you're going to be fine. Most of you are going to be found wanting with these characters and these storylines. And I don't think it's a surprise that the numbers aren't as strong as the second one, because the reviews have said exactly what I think a lot of the public are saying when they go see the movie. This is repetitive. I'm not going to see the movie again because it's repetitive. I can just watch the second movie. I saw someone really funny. Someone said Avatar 3 : Avatar 2, you know? And so that's what you get when you go to see this movie. It's not as strong as you were hoping it would be. And some curious choices in how they handle some of the characters as well. So in the end, I'm not surprised with the way it all went down and the numbers that are coming out for it financially. And I think it'll be in some trouble as the time goes on. So we will see. Yeah, you can see the same beats of Avatar 3 in the trailer. Absolutely. Absolutely. We've gotten some more Streamlabs super chats that have come in through here. So let me do it. John Lawless says, I will wait for VOD Fire and Ash. Absolutely. Yeah, dude, wait for it. Yeah, you can watch it in increments because it's 3 hours and 14 minutes. Narjo 501 says, hey, John, your comments on Harloff Show regarding the passing of James Ransome really inspired me. Thank you. Yeah, sadly, James Ransome took his own life. Actor who was in It Chapter 2, was in a number of things, number of TV shows, including The Wire. I mean, one of the reasons I'm going live all week this week is to kind of just do something for people who are in a bad place in the holidays. Maybe some of you are watching me live right now. Maybe some of you and don't want to talk about where you're at. And some of you may be watching me later. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for watching. I'm trying. to just, have some fun, put something out there for you all to watch to keep your mind off wherever dark places you might be going this holiday season. I am here all week. We are not going anywhere in terms of going out of town or vacation or whatever. I'm just chilling out working. And so I will be here and I will try my best to have a live show every night. Tomorrow is going to be live, but it's a little up in the air what live show I will do tomorrow. Because I'm going to hear from a couple of people in the morning and see what we got squared away. But yeah, so just be watching out. I'm going to do a live show every day this week. So, but yes, James sadly taking his own life. But it's tempting to be upset. It's tempting to be hurt. I see some people who really don't understand mental health, who judge people who do this, and especially some people who are super religious and they take it as a offense to God. I just, those people don't do anybody a service with their attitudes and their approach to mental health, because my guess is they've never experienced it for real. It is not a disappointing test score or not getting a job you wanted. That is not depression. Okay. Depression is so much worse than any of that. Amplify that by 100 and you're scratching the surface of what depression is. And so I'm going to venture a guess and say that James went through some mental health issues. I was reading some of the stuff in his biography that he was sexually abused by a teacher. I think when he was in high school or maybe middle school, and that kind of scarred and messed him up. And, some of the roles he played are really unusual roles. And certainly I think there was a lot of himself in that role he played in It Chapter 2, a lot of his real shit about dealing with that stuff. And so, unfortunately, the disease, and it is a disease, eventually got him. And that's how people need to understand. And I say this over and over again. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself for some of you all, but mental health is a battlefield. It is a war. And in a war, you never know what soldiers are going to live or die. It's very random, no matter how skilled they are, no matter how aware of the battlefield they are. You just never know who is going to be taken out. And people who look like they're more than capable and have got everything going for them, they're going to survive this battle, get taken out. And in terms of the battle, and so of course with suicide, they're taking themselves out, but the disease gets the best of them. And listen, it never ends. I don't know what addiction is like, but I think depression is a form of that, because it's something you never get rid of. Or sorry, mental health issues. It's something you never get rid of. You come to terms with them, you navigate, you have your tools, and you can live a healthy life if you're very aware of how to use your tools and how to put them in motion. But it is always just around the corner waiting for you if you're not vigilant with if you don't talk to people, if you don't open up, if you don't let people in, if you don't let people help you. So, and in the end, I'm telling you, the day that I almost took my life, it is, people say, oh, I wish he'd reached out. I wish they had reached out. I wish they had just, if they knew how many people love them. That's the thing that too many people don't really understand or get, is that people who have mental health issues, they know how much people love them. They know. They're cognizant of it. They're aware of it. We're aware of it. We're aware of it. But when those feelings come, none of that matters. And it's not because their love isn't strong enough. And it's not because they didn't say all the right words. And it's not because, let me take this down, they don't know that they're not loved, or they don't know that they're loved. They do. We do. We do know. But it's just in those moments, all of that fades away. And the narrative that comes into your mind is, everybody will be better off without me, because I'm a burden and I can't take the pain anymore. And I can't be in this state of mind anymore. And it would just be better if I don't have to go through this ever again. And that's what can happen. And that was my experience, as I've told you guys, for 6 months. Like in 2016, after I almost took I went into the deepest depression, and every day was 3 hours in the morning of navigating myself out of that pit. Every day. 3 hours of meditation some mornings. I'm not joking. I would get up at 6 a.m. I would want to kill myself. I would say, I have nothing going on with my life. I'm a nobody and a nothing and a no one. I've accomplished nothing. I just want to die. I know it'll hurt my mom. I know it'll hurt my brother and sister, but I can't take this anymore. Those are the feelings that go through my body, in my heart, in my soul, in my conscience, in my gut. These were the thoughts. It's not dramatic. It's not fucking melodrama. It's just facts. You know, some people get, honestly, when you're in the deepest of depressions, other people who are not in it get up and they're like, okay, I got to go to the store. I got to get this. I got that. Other people in deep depressions wake up and go, how the fuck am I going to get through this day without taking my life? And I tell you, the one of the big things that saved me was the meditation podcast. And for those who are not familiar with it, the meditation podcast is a podcast on, I think it's now on Patreon only, I think only on Patreon, but at the time it was free for people. And I was able to listen to so many of their meditations, and they're guided meditations. It's a couple, and they both took turns guiding you through meditation. Some of them were as simple as 10, 15 minutes. Other ones were an hour. And so I had my playlist. When I would wake up in the morning, if I had those feelings and they were really bad, because some mornings I'd wake up and they were there, but it wasn't debilitating. The mornings when I woke up and it was debilitating, I had my playlist and I would sit out in my living room on my couch. I would lay down on my couch. I would put the headphones in, and then I would meditate. And I would go through it and through it and through it. And then when the 1 hour was done, I'd put on the other, and I'd have a string of them that would just keep playing. And then eventually by 9 o'clock, usually around 9 o'clock, I got to a level place where I could make myself breakfast, where I could watch a TV show and laugh or something, or go out to the store. And then the thing that's really fucked up about mental health when you're in the deepest of depressions is that once you navigate out of it, you literally cannot understand how you were ever in it. That's one of the craziest things about mental health, which is why it's such a massive mind fuck, is that you are in the deepest of depressions, the darkest of holes. And if you manage to climb your way out, like for me, it was the morning. As I said, for other people, it's at night. But for me, it's the morning. If you manage to climb your way out, you literally go on with your day like it never happened. And when you think about that morning, you say to yourself, how the hell was I in that frame of mind? Because I feel normal now. I feel relaxed now. I feel like it's not a big deal. And then the next morning you wake up and it would start all over again. It's like Prometheus with the eating out of the liver, and the next morning the liver will grow back. That's essentially what it was. And it is really a colossal mindfuck, because you say to yourself, like, how could I have ever been in that place? But you don't know. And you don't know how it's going to corrupt your mind and mess with you and all of that stuff, you know. So for me, I was very lucky because I got therapy. A woman who I will not name, who was a wife of a friend of mine, and she's my friend as well. She was running a mental health clinic at the time that dealt with substance abuse and addiction and mental health. And because I had to check myself into UCLA for a day to be under their watch. By the way, the Counting Crows documentary, Adam Duritz did that as well. Checked in for a day. Mariah Carey checked in. UCLA has a very strong, well-respected mental health division in their hospital. And I was very lucky that day. I had two friends with me. One of them took me to see one of the therapists that I've been going to there in LA. They called over to UCLA because they had connections to UCLA. They got me in to be seen. They took all my clothes because I was a danger to myself. And I basically had to lay on a hospital bed in a room for 6 hours so they could observe me. And that was the day after I almost killed myself. The morning of. So it was the day of that morning when I woke up and almost did it. And I remember my two of my friends came and sat with me. And we were laughing and joking and everything was great. We were talking about stuff, just being normal friends, right? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was around 1 o'clock, I think, the wave of depression came over me again. And I just curled up in the fetal position, and both of them like just broke down because they'd never seen me like that. They'd never seen me like that. Because I was a fighter. I was well, I didn't take any shit. I was always up in, I was aggressive in my approach to life, but I was always, always very sweet to them and loving to them. But like I was also like I tackled life, right? And so I think, my one friend, it broke her to see me like that really badly, and still one of my great friends, still someone I love and respect and talk to all the time. And my other friend, he's moved away, but we still talk every once in a while. But he was so great. He got emotional as well, and just kind of rubbing my leg and talking me through stuff. It's amazing how your friends can step up when you've got really good people in your life, and they really stepped up for me that day. And then they both had to go to work, and the second shift of friends came in who were getting off work at like 4. Two of them picked me up from the hospital at 5 and took me to their house, and they took care of me all night. We watched old WWE matches. We watched old shows and hung out because we were all around the same age, and so we were watching a bunch of stuff, and it's stuff from like my past, and just to put me in a better mood, and movie stuff, and so it was great. I ordered food, and they were really kind to be with me through that whole night, and so it's a gift to have friends, but you have to be willing to receive the help. And sometimes when you're deep in that emotionally unstable, mentally unhealthy place, it's hard. It's hard to ask for that help. It's hard. The way I can describe it, it's like pushing the heaviest block of concrete. That's what it feels like. You're pushing the heaviest block of concrete that you can possibly imagine. That's what it takes to lift the phone to call someone or to text someone. The thing that people who don't have mental health don't understand. They think, well, why didn't you just call me? And it's like, that's not how it works, because the effort it takes to pull yourself out of that place, to turn the phone over and to dial, is so massive that it is almost impossible to do. And the easier choice is to take your life. And I'm not saying that with everybody. I'm just saying that was my experience. And I wonder, and I've heard from a number of people that it's their experience as well. That's why I always try to dissuade people that notion, like, oh, if only I'd been there, if only I'd said this, if only I'd done that. Yes, very possible, but you're not to blame and you're not at fault. It's just that the factors didn't align in the right way, and in that moment, that person made that decision, which, by the way, is not a cowardly decision. I get so mad at people who say that, and only people who've never suffered mental health say that. It's not a cowardly decision. It takes a lot of strength to go through with that because you're inflicting pain on yourself. It takes a lot of strength to do it. And so I wish I could break people of that notion that it's a cowardly decision. It's not. It's actually one of the most, in a weird way, it's one of the most empowering things you can do to take control of your life, even though you are ending your life. I think in your mind, you say, well, if I'm going out on my terms, and I'm going to do this to get rid of the pain. Right. And so in a weird kind of way, it's a last moment of empowerment for the person, because most of the times they think they're doing the right thing because they think they're removing themselves as a burden to their loved ones. As I said, I think most people in mental health situations know they're loved. In fact, it's that love that sometimes they twist around to feel as a burden, like to feel that they are a burden to that love. And that's what can motivate them to make a terrible decision, like, a sad decision like that. I don't want to say terrible because that implies judgment. A sad decision like that in the moment. And as I said, I've been there. Recently, a few weeks ago, I had 2 days. It was really, really bad. Like I couldn't understand out of nowhere. And I haven't had those feelings in a long time. But for those 2 days, I just was in a place of like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And it is scary. It never ends. I'm telling you, it never ends. You have to be vigilant. And all I did was sit there and sit with the feelings and just process them. And thankfully, Lady Outlaw walked in. She noticed I was off, and I was able to tell her. And she's so great because she's had her panic attacks. She's so great. She guided me through it. She got me to climb out the other side of it. And then when I was feeling better, I walked out and we watched shows together. And so it's just those things that you have to navigate them, and you have to find your way through them. And I've had them when she's not here. a couple of years ago, I had like it was a day, it was really bad when she wasn't here. And it's like I had to just go through the motions. Like and the thing is that I've learned is like, I'm feeling this. It's okay that I'm feeling this. I understand that I'm feeling this. And now I just have to sit in this. And I have to be okay. I can sit in this. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to make any rash decisions. I don't have to try to find my way out of it. I just have to sit with it. And I have to tell myself, this is okay. This is okay. This is normal for you. This is natural for you. Let's figure out what we're going to do next. Okay, are we just going to sit here in it? Okay, let's just sit here in it. Do we want to put on a TV show? So it's those kinds of things that you're kind of now, or to take a walk or listen to music. You know, those things that you kind of have to deal with when you're dealing with when those moments come. You know, and I just wouldn't wish it on. I wouldn't wish it on almost anyone. I wouldn't wish it on almost anyone, because it is a incredibly debilitating thing when it happens. So I hope we're getting to that point where we create more grace for people who make these decisions. And I think his wife's tribute to him was so beautiful, and from an understanding place, you know, saying, you know, I loved you, no, I loved you, and I will love you again, and implying like when she dies, she will see him again, you know, and that's the truth, you know. So anyway, I did not think Narjo's comment was going to send me down that far of a path. Thank you, Narjo. I appreciate it. Darren Rice says, my hometown cinema has sold out one screen for Stranger Things finale on New Year's Eve. 350 seat screens. Don't think I've ever seen anything like this for a TV show. Darren, I'll do you one better. I went to go look today to try to see if I just go. Like I thought San Diego, because most all the big stuff never sells out here. So I thought, well, I'll go see the finale. Maybe there's like 50 people in the theater. Fucking 5 screenings sold out till 9:30 at night. They're doing every 15 minutes. 5 o'clock, 5:15, 5:30, 5:45, 6, 6:15. Like I was shocked. They were all sold out till 9 o'clock. I just was. My mouth was, I mean, my jaw dropped at that situation, you know. So, man, it is a big deal. If even my local Regal Cinemas is selling out, that tells me this is a massive deal, and people want to enjoy this in a communal way in the theater. So, KJ7, maybe we'll get a screening of it for our publicist down here. We'll see. KJ747, 7457 says, do you have to have a snack when you go to the movies, or do you bring your own movie snacks? Well, now I have to bring my own movie snacks. I still occasionally will have a popcorn, but I don't have anywhere near the amount of popcorn that I used to have. Oh my God. I used to get a popcorn almost every time I went to a screening. But now it's like the occasional film I'll get it, you know, but I usually try to bring my protein bar, my IQ bar. I do the IQ bars, which you also can get on Amazon and at Sprouts. And I usually do the peanut butter one, or the almond butter chip, or the toasted coconut chip. There's a caramel, salted caramel one that is really great, all healthy, plant protein. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I usually try to bring my snacks, and occasionally get a bottle of water there as a way of honoring the theater for hosting our screening. Or I'll bring my own bottle of water if they let us do that. That's kind of my approach. But yeah, I try not to get any snacks in the movie theater much anymore. Woo! So, you know, I'm talking too much. Fred Tasker says, I remember the first Avatar opened with not very big numbers, but had amazing legs and crushed overseas, and nearly hit 3 billion. You're right, Fred. Yeah, absolutely. But this is a different situation because it's not even opening up with numbers that match the numbers of the two before. So that's not a good sign. And you've got Zootopia 2. You've got Anaconda coming, which I don't think Anaconda is going to do that much of a dent, but it'll do a little bit of a dent. Mighty Supreme, I'm not sure how that's going to do. It's already killing it at the box office in terms of the limited run. So we'll see. We'll see. But I feel like it's not going to hit there. So Narjo 551 says, that means a lot. Thanks, John. Thank you, Narjo. I appreciate the comment, my man. John Lawless says 4559. I am fortunate that I have a supportive wife. Pardon, they are Eagles nutcase. Yes, John, I know. I know, man. I appreciate that, bro. That's true. Yeah, and they won the division. Congratulations to the Eagles. They beat my Commanders, and they knocked out the Cowboys, 2-1 there. She must be happy. Although I'm going to tell you this right now, them running up the score on us, John, that was a bad move. I'm telling you, you don't mess with the pride of a wounded team. wait, you don't mess with the wounded pride of a team. And I have a feeling that the Commanders are going to put a hurting on the Eagles in 2 weeks and maybe even knock out some players. Don't be surprised. Don't say I didn't warn you. I just have a feeling. They all were saying it after the game. We'll see them in 2 weeks. Even the head coach, Dan Quinn, said, we'll see them in 2 weeks. That to me is an indicator that they are going out for blood because they have nothing to lose. So I'm not saying they're going to be dirty, but they're going to hit motherfuckers for sure. Jalen's going to feel the Commanders. Saquon Barkley's going to feel the Commanders. AJ Brown's going to feel the Commanders. It ain't going to be pretty. I just have a feeling. Narjo501 says, you are loved, John. Thank you, Narjo. Thank you for sharing these things. I understand everything you are saying. And like you said, those who don't know don't get it. 100% Narjo. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you, my man. John Lawless says, Rocha, love you, the truth. I feel I'm not alone. No, we're not. We're not alone. We're not alone. There's so many of us. We are not alone. And I think too many people think that we are alone, and we're not. We're very much as a big group of us who have gone through this. And some of us don't discover, like I didn't discover what this was until much later in life. Like a lot of people navigate thus early in life. I didn't discover this until later in life. Just something happened that night. Things have been building for me throughout my time in LA. And then that night, just everything snapped. Everything snapped. And the next morning I woke up and I just could not understand what was happening. And it was in my mind. It had come into my mind. It was telling me to do things. It was insane, 28 Vasco says, you two stuck in a moment. Ah, yes, is a great song about having conversation with someone on the brink of suicide. It's just a moment. This time will pass. It's true. It's true. You don't think that when you're in it, unfortunately. Oh, well, I got to say this. You do think that if you've got the right tools, you do think that this is a moment and you can sit in it and it'll be fine. It'll pass. Yes, you might sweat. Yes, you might shake. Yes, you might be scared, but it will pass. But it's hard to remember that when you're in that moment. And I think some people, the moment becomes too overwhelming for them and they make that decision, unfortunately. Like I said, I accidentally came here today. I usually watch your film critique. My mother just died a week ago. Thank you for this. I needed this. Oh, I'm sorry, John. John, I'm sending you much love, dude. I lost my dad in 2008. It's not an easy experience. You're going to go through some tough times. It sounds like you really loved her. Just if I'm reading in between the lines here, it sounds like you really loved her. So here's what I'll say to you as having experienced it myself. You've got to create a lot of grace for yourself. Let yourself go through the process. Let yourself go through the pain. That's part of it. The more you try to run from it, the more it is going to overwhelm you. The more it will come at you like a goddamn tsunami. So you've got to navigate it as best as you can. It doesn't mean there won't be moments where you burst out crying for no reason or for like something you see on TV or a movie. Like to me, I went to see About Time maybe a few months after my father died. And that scene with him and Bill Nighy near the end, Jesus effing Christ. I shattered into pieces in the movie theater. Thankfully, my friend Shannon McClung from the Geek Buddies was with me and just rubbed my back through my whole like 5-10 minutes of just utter destruction. And those are the moments you don't see them coming. And then out of nowhere, bang, it just absolutely shatters you. So I would say to you, be very vigilant about that. I'm glad you have someone that you're with who you can talk to about things, explain to them, make them aware. And I'm sure she knows how to navigate you out of those moments because she loves you. So those are those things that you have to be very open about when they're happening for you, but also be okay with them happening for you. That's just part of processing the loss of someone you love, and getting past it. It took me 3 years to get past it. And past it, I don't mean like, oh, don't even think about him. Is more like, okay, I'm in a place now where I can appreciate the time I had rather than weeping for the time I lost. And that took me 3 years. I remember it was the morning after a camping trip with some friends. I was driving over the hill as the sun was coming up, and all of a sudden, I did not feel this consistent sadness about the loss of my dad that I'd felt for 3 years, just bubbling under the surface of everything I was doing. In that moment, I had this kind of weird epiphany as the sun was rising brightly over the horizon, and I realized, like, wow, I'm in a state of appreciation for my father. It was a Sunday morning, a state of appreciation for my father, that I had a father like this, that I even had the amount of years that I had with him. And so I was in a place of gratitude. And that was an amazing thing for me, to be in a place of gratitude about his loss, and to be able to move on with my life. So that was amazing. That was so cool for me. And I hope, that will happen for you, John. It just will take your time. And it happens at different times for everybody, because everybody's body is different. Everybody's emotional makeup is different. Everybody's experiences are different. And their love for their family are different in the ways that it's constructed. So all I say, take it a day at a time. Christmas is going to be tough. But try to remember that she'd want you to be happy, because she loved you. She'd want you to be happy. She'd want you to enjoy it. Don't feel guilty about enjoying Christmas. Honor her as best you can. I'm sure your family and your partner will as well. And that's how you process that stuff, bro. Yeah, but I'm sending you all my love and strength, man. All my love and strength. Oh, King Z says, you're hitting on all of my exact thoughts in a time where I needed to hear it from someone else. Well, I'm glad, Ohio. Thank you. Thank you for coming in here live. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate the super chats. Very kind of you. But more than anything else, I appreciate you letting me do this, because it's kind of why I'm doing this week, is I'm doing it live. I don't know if it's going to make any numbers or make it. I don't know. I'm just here to kind of be a resource for people. I feel like I should be doing more. So this is kind of like my way of trying to do more a little bit, like kind of dipping my toe in to see how I can do it and figure it out and how to get good at it. So hopefully I will. We'll see. But thank you, Ohio. And I'm glad what I'm saying is resonating with you and speaking to you, bro. John Lawless says, I watched 28 Years Later today and it was comforting. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Derek, what's up, Derek? He says, Trump and this administration could suck a big bag of donkey balls. Well, absolutely, Derek. You're 100% right. The 60 Minutes Bari Weiss thing is absolutely ridiculous. And her excuses are fucking elementary school level excuses for what she's doing. It is, in my opinion, I don't think she's telling us the full truth at all. I think she was absolutely influenced by Trump or members of the Trump administration to remove that, or even the Ellisons saying to her, remove that. We're trying to buy WB. And he said that he was mad about segments on 60 Minutes. This idea that she needed to vet it, but then wouldn't watch the piece. This is the Mike Johnson way of doing things, right? Well, I didn't watch his comments today. I don't know. I can't monitor everything Trump says. But if a Democrat does something at 3 a.m. in a dark alley in the darkest of nights, I will know what's going on. I will comment on it. But Trump doing something in the middle of the day at a press conference, it skipped by me somehow. It's this bullshit. And I swear to you, I hope the American people are getting tired of this nonsense. I hope the American people are finally waking up to the bullshit these people peddle and spew. Looking at that Turning Point USA conference, that was an absolute shit show of a joke of human beings. Steve Bannon saying that horrible shit about Rob Reiner that was reported that he said. Like, these are the things. These are the kind of soulless people we're dealing with, man. And we cannot allow this to stand in our country. We must fight back by all the means available to us legally and through protest and all the things that we can do to fight back, because this is nonsense. And having someone who has taken over CBS News and essentially put on her knee pads for Trump is not what we need at a time right now. And to hold a story because the White House refuses to comment on the story is fucking ridiculous. It's journalistic malpractice, in my opinion. And the correspondent on the piece came out with this long examples of other things that she did wrong, Bari Weiss, in it. And so for me, this is a horrific thing to see happening. So I agree with you, Derek, 100%. Colonel Stephen, hey, Lockjaw, you're up in here. Rocha, sorry if this is an offensive question. You don't have to answer, but have you talked about the reason why you wanted to unalive yourself? Well, it's not an offensive question. I think it's a fair question. I think the reasons are different for everybody. Sometimes they're similar, but reasons are usually different for everybody because everybody's different. Everybody lives a different life. I've got my OCD going on here. Sorry. Does the camera keep moving? I feel like the camera keeps moving. So I've got weird kind of spatial issues going on for me. Maybe the seat is sinking a little bit as well. Hold on. All right. So anyway, yeah. So the reasons why, there was a lot going on for me. I think there was, there were a couple of relationships that fell apart. One, which was a very small relationship. It wasn't that big of a deal of a relationship. It was just, I had met someone while I was working at Universal Studios. She was very young. I was older than her by almost 2 decades. And we had a really, she's a sweetheart. We had a really nice relationship, but I was still caught up in the destruction of the other relationship that I'd been in for 5 years. And this relationship, she was very sweet. And the fact that we couldn't make it work because of my damage from my previous relationship, that compounded upon itself from previous all the other relationships I've been in that didn't work out. And I couldn't understand why I was uh, I was unable to be successful in a romantic relationship, right? Now, I think a lot of guys don't give a shit about that kind of stuff, but I'm not built like a lot of guys, never have been. I'm a much more sensitive person. I have much more availability to my feelings. And so I can be hurt. I can take things um, and take them in a bad way. Um, so all of that because we had ended our relationship at the time, and uh, that combined with where I felt my career was going nowhere. I know I was working at Universal Studios making money, but like I couldn't book anything. I wasn't making it as an actor, so I was, working at a theme park to pay bills. And for me at the time, it just wasn't the right situation of my life. And I hit a point at that age where I was like, what am I? I'm going to end up alone. I'm going to end up with no money. And I thought I really had a shot to be somebody. And in the end, I am nobody. And of course I wasn't, but that's the thought in my mind. And so that morning, after I'd had the conversation with her the night before where we ended things, uh, I woke up that morning and all the sadness of all my failures came for me all at once. And it wasn't her fault. She was just like, she's like the what do they say? The straw that broke the camel's back. It's like that you all this stuff heaped on, and then someone dropped a little feather on top and it shattered everything. She was essentially the feather that shattered everything, but it wasn't her fault, right? She just was compounded into my own shit. Um, and then I broke. And the next morning I had never felt those feelings before ever in my life. I'd always been a melancholy person. And by that I don't mean that I was a sad person. I just mean that like I loved the rain. I loved listening to sad music while I watched the rain. It was like a high for me to be sad and listen to have it rain and listen to sad music. I loved it. I would go through nights where I would play sad songs over and over and over again. But to me, that wasn't depression. To me, that was like happiness in a fucked up way that was joyful for me. I felt at home. I felt comfortable there, right? Because I mean, my life has been full of a lot of things that didn't work out and sad stuff and failures and things of that nature. And so I sat in that. I used to sit in that place, but to me, that was never depression, right? But now looking back, clearly that was like the slow. It's like a Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption. It's that little rock hammer. Those nights were little rock hammers that were burrowing into my soul, and then this thing happened, compounded by the horrible 5 year relationship I'd been in, and so everything, all my insecurities, my low self esteem, all of it just exploded that morning, and I was ready to go. And I've said this before, and again, I apologize to irritate anybody who's heard this already, but if it wasn't for Miss Movies, Brienne posting the suicide prevention hotline that morning, I would have never called it. And because I was like doom scrolling on Twitter, like as a final act. I had the knife in my hand. I was ready to cut my wrists on the couch. I was just going to do it. I really was just going to plunge and pull. I legitimately was going to plunge and pull and be done with it. But I was like one last look through Twitter. And if it wasn't for my procrastinating nature, I think, which is why I was on Twitter, I would have never seen her post. And I would have never had, I mean, I stared at the phone for 20 minutes before I picked it up to call. and just rolling my body over to grab the phone and then to pick up the phone and then to hit the numbers, the 7 or I guess the 10 numbers, the 800, was all the strength in the world, all the strength I had in the world. But thank God, because the woman on the other end of the line who answered the phone, she was amazing. She was amazing. She was so, so good to me, so sweet to me, navigated me through the feelings I was going through. I broke down and cried, and I just told her everything that I was, and I was like weeping. Hey, you guys saw me in Schmodown Spectacular. I was that kind of weeping where I was like high pitched. I was doing all that. Guy was all coming out. I couldn't control it anymore. It was all my sadness of decades of failures came pouring out of me. And she listened patiently and calmly. There was not one hint of irritation in her voice, not one hint of judgment in her voice. And she was very receptive to everything. She spoke into my pain, which is a term I discovered later in therapy, like speak into the pain. She understood where I was at and was able to talk to me in that state. Not, you need to stop feeling this way, or, it's not healthy for you to feel this way. That's not all true. She sat in with me. She went in there with me and walked me out of that well I had fallen into. And by the end, she was like, are there 2 people you can call? Are there some friends you can call? And I was like, yeah, I can text some friends. And I said, but I don't know if they'll be receptive to it because they're working, or I don't want to bother their lives. And she said, I think you might be surprised at how people respond to this. Give them a chance. If they don't respond, call back here, ask for me by name, and I'll walk you through what the next steps might be. That's what she did. It was a 45-minute conversation. She was amazing. And to this day, I don't know who that person was. I can't remember her name, but she saved my life. She saved my life. And it's a shame that I didn't have the wherewithal at the time to find out who she was and get in. But I don't think they would have told me because, they're pretty private about people who work in those places. But yeah, if she hadn't walked me through it, I wouldn't be here. There's no way I wouldn't be. If I'd gotten someone else, and so when you're looking for signs that you're supposed to still be around, those are signs. When you look at them now, I mean, back then, of course, in the middle of all of it, I couldn't even think that straight. But yeah, so those were the reasons, bro. Those were the reasons. And it's not easy. It wasn't easy, and it's still not easy to think about that. So yeah, but no, not an offensive question at all, bro. KJ745 says, I first heard you discuss your depression during an interview with Christian Harloff on the 101 show on Collider. It was enlightening and powerful. That's right. Yeah. That was like much more recent when I did that interview after it all happened. I did the Schmodown. I think I won the belt against Dan right after it happened. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a few weeks. Yeah, it was like 2 weeks after it happened that I beat Dan for the belt, if you can believe it. Yeah, because I'd been going to these therapists and they were really good at getting me to talk about stuff. I think it wasn't it 2016? Or was that the next? I can't remember, but I know it was after. I was still reeling from it. And I remember I showed up to do Spectacular and then beat Dan for the title. And it was crazy, and we did a documentary. We did a version of the documentary, the one that's out, with me and the Schmodown, the one that they hyped up 5 or 6 years ago. There was a version of the documentary we did where I really went into all of that. And I'm sure it's lost footage. Christian Ruvalcaba and RB3 were the only 2 people in the room when they asked me those questions, and I went on and talked about it. I was still fresh, and clearly they couldn't use it in the documentary, but I was still fresh in the place that I was in. So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty powerful thing. So that's the thing. So yeah, thanks for watching that one-on-one. Still one of my favorite shows we ever did together. Derek, thank you, Derek. He said, I said over 6 months ago how September and October were going to be the start of how bad it gets. Do people think the bread lines didn't go away just because the news stopped covering it? I'm in it every day and I'm mentally exhausted. Yeah, Derek, I can only imagine, bro. I can only imagine. People feel pretty despondent. But I mean, the fact that they're losing elections, the fact that people are starting to turn on them in large numbers, disapprove of the stuff, but they're still trying to slow walk it. I mean, the Epstein files, that is such an example of hubris. And it's so frustrating that you have someone who is complicit like Mike Johnson, who is allowing all of this to happen. Why did he send everybody home early? He did that so they didn't have to vote on the premiums because he wants to kiss Trump's ass. And so they didn't have to answer questions about why the Epstein files weren't being released fully and essentially cause a mutiny on Trump. I think he realized, and they told him, we are not going to release the full files. We're going to release only some of them redacted to the nth degree to protect Trump. And sure enough, today Trump came out and was like, Bill Clinton's all over these files. Why is Bill Clinton all over these files? And so let's blame everybody else. And let's make it so that if Bill's in it and I'm in it, it can't be that bad if we're both in it. Right? This is the path they're trying to walk now because they don't want to surrender power. This is essentially a burgeoning dictatorship that is happening. If we don't stop this by voting them out, we will absolutely have a dictatorship in our hands. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's scary. It's scary, bro. Derek also says, I agree. We need classes on critical thinking and financial skills. I meet so many people who don't understand the difference between financial freedom and financial stability. Yeah, absolutely, Derek. Absolutely, Derek. You're 100% right. Me and you should have a conversation about this off camera, maybe over email or text or however, maybe Instagram or Twitter, whatever. Like, I need to start making some steps here. So maybe we can have a conversation and I'll happily pay for your services because you've been more than gracious with your money and supporting all of us who do this in this space. So, yeah, I would love to have a conversation with you about it. So maybe down the road, we'll do that. John Lawless, thank you, says, I'm a conservative liberal and angry with our president because he's not acting presidential. I know, bro. I know. He isn't. It's a shame. Colonel Lockjaw back again says, thanks for answering. By the way, do you like black girls? I love black girls. Just love them. There you go. Yes, you do, Lockjaw. Yes, you do. Derek also says, sorry for the rants, but for fuck's sake, people, we are losing international trade agreements built over decades and they're not coming back. The international community is realizing quickly they don't need America for trade. You're so right, bro. This America first nonsense is going to destroy us because when we isolate ourselves, just because we have nuclear weapons doesn't mean we can force people to do what we want them to do. And it is a dangerous state of existence that we're in now as a country. You're 100% right about the international community. They just passed, Europe did, funding for Ukraine. They are going to fund Ukraine, their fight against Russia. The United States has nothing to do with that funding. The fact that Europe is getting together to use their own money to fund Ukraine in the fight against Russia, that should tell you everything you need to know about how much of a puppet he is for Putin, Trump is, and how much he is controlled by the Russians. So it's like it's or not controlled necessarily, but in my opinion, beholden to the Russians. And so that's the situation we find ourselves in, unfortunately, and so we've allowed him to ride way too high. And there are too many people in the halls of power who are allowing this to happen. I mean, this would be the moment for a lot of Republicans who don't like him to turn on him. His numbers are down all across the board by multiple digits, multiple double digits. And I don't think the people would rebel against them if they started to turn on Trump because they see what's going on financially for themselves in their pocketbook and what they can afford, what they can't afford. And so, and then they see what's happening to their neighbors, their immigrant neighbors, and all of that. So those are the things that you look at here that are maddening for us and maddening to witness. And I just think this would be the time, The Supreme Court is basically rubber stamping everything he's doing, which is really heartbreaking. You thought maybe there'd be some logic, but John Roberts has been an utter disappointment. And it really makes me think that they all have information, unsavory information on these people, which is why they're all willing to go along with it, because it is so obviously an authoritarian state. It's mind-blowing. Derek again says, anytime, John, I never charge a fellow vet. Oh, that's kind of you, Derek. Well, we'd still figure something out, bro. I'd hate to, do anything like that without giving you credit or some form of gratitude, man. So yeah, definitely, Derek, we're going to set that up. Absolutely. 2026 is the year of really putting things in motion on a number of places, bro. So, Mike Gallagher says, I liken depression to the scene in Officer and a Gentleman with the water crash test. See the bubbles and let the diver help. I have just seen the bubbles this morning, reached out to the divers. Yes. And anybody, thank you, Mike, for that comment. Anybody who, and this again, this is the reason I'm doing these this week, because there's so much going on in the holidays. I want people to be able to come and hang out and have fun and talk about whatever, and put up with me talking about whatever. This is the time to be aware of this stuff and to make sure that you've got the tools that are necessary to navigate your way out of this stuff. I think going forward in the week, I will create a graphic where I can put up suicide prevention hotline. So maybe you guys can write it down or save it someplace in your phone. Maybe even make it a a pre-saved number, so that if you are in that state of mind, you don't have to dial 11 numbers. You can just hit one number and it dials it automatically if you need it. And those people are very amazing. They're very amazing at their job. And it breaks my heart to see Trump and his people shutting a lot of those lines down for the LGBTQ plus community and what have you. Now is the time, because they see mental health as a weakness. They see mental health as like, oh, you're lesser than, because they're morons. They're emotional morons about this stuff. And it's heartbreaking to see people in the halls of power perpetuating the myth and perpetuating the negative stereotype of people with mental health issues. And that needs to stop. Mr. Nerd Fanatic, what's up, Mr. ND Fanatic? Says, Rocha, great advice tonight, especially the losing of a parent. I lost my dad when I was 8. It takes a long time to move on. Absolutely, man. Happy holidays to you and everyone. Happy holidays to you, bro. I hope you are in a good place. I hope you're thinking about your dad now in a positive way, like sending up love to him and, maybe saying to yourself, I hope you're proud of me. I hope you've seen all the things I've done. Like, thanks for life. Thanks for giving me this life, like creating me. And I hope I'm doing you proud. I say that every Christmas, and sometimes other days as well, in talking to my dad, which I still miss him greatly. And I actually said that the other day to the lady Outlaw. I can't remember what I was thinking about. And I said to her, I just said it, I wish my dad was here, because I think I would love to talk to my dad about this, because I need to figure this out. And I think my dad would have great advice for this. So that happens very rarely, because my dad prepared me for this world. And I grew up so much after he died. That's another thing that you don't anticipate, is you're going to mature after the loss of a parent. It really will surprise you. I was at times a bit of a fuck up in my 30s and 40s, because I just thought, I was cock strong. I was riding high, and then all that shit happened with my dad, and it changed me. And I imagine some of the depression, the suicide was linked to not having my father around to talk about stuff with. It's not, and obviously not his fault. It's just that he wasn't around. And so I think that not having that resource maybe built up over those 8 years before I tried to do it. And it was a hell of a thing. So, that's a part of it as well. So yeah, you got to give thanks and grace to your father. Jody, what's up, Jody? Speaking of DCU news and dramas that help us process the times we're in, I would recommend the German series Babylon Berlin to anyone. It's a great show, and you'll get to see how Lars Aidinger can play a hateable character. All right. Good suggestion, Jody. I like that idea. Is Babylon Berlin on Netflix? Wait a minute. Here goes my tinfoil hat. Lars Aidinger is in a show on Netflix. Netflix is about to buy WB. James Gunn has pretty much said that James Gunn is going to continue being in charge of WB. Is this connected somehow? I don't know. So let in my conspiracy brain book. But great suggestion. Jody, I think I did voiceover for Babylon Berlin, like the Spanish. I think I did some of the English voiceover, because I think it's in German, right? So I think I did some of the English voiceover when I was working at Universal Studios. A friend of mine ran a voiceover studio, and he would ask me occasionally to come in and do some dubbing. So I think I did some dubbing for some of the characters of Babylon Berlin. So maybe on a random episode, if you're listening in English, you might hear my voice, but I don't remember the character or the episode, for God's sake. So thank you. John Lawless back here says, have a good night in a better mindset. Good, John. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Clarissa says, I was watching another podcast and the host was mentioning he picked up his phone to call his brother who passed away 3 years ago. He says he just has those moments. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't. Yeah. I don't think I've picked up the phone to call my dad in a lot of years, but I have had those moments, as I just explained, where I immediately think I can call my dad and then realize he's not around and then just go like, God, I would have loved to be able to talk to him. So yeah, I hear you, man. It's I hear you closer. That no surprise. No surprise. I hear that from a lot, and especially with couples. I hear that with a lot of couples that the the instinct to reach for the phone and call them or go and find them in the other room without realizing they're gone. Like, yeah, that is a tough situation to navigate for sure. All right. Yeah, I was going to do the worst films, but we got into all these tangents and I should wrap it up here because we're at 2.5 hours. So maybe it's good we didn't do the worst films of 2025. I think this was a better probably conversation talking about things. And again, the reason why I want to do stuff this week going live. I'm trying to go live every night. I really am going to try to go live every night to be a resource for people who are not in the best state with the holidays. But I'm trying it out for this week. We'll see how it goes. And if any of you guys have ideas or suggestions for segments that you want to see on these versions of the truth, I am open to them all. So let me know, DM me or send me a message on Instagram. I'll read it and maybe I can incorporate it, be a fun little thing. So, sorry, Fred. Yes. People sent in Streamlabs. Sorry about Fred. Let's see. Fred says, hey, John, thanks for sharing your struggles with us. It feels like someone has my back holding me upright, even though I'm fortunate to not be in that state. My dude. There you go, Derek. They're a Fred, rather. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, Fred. That's very kind of you. And there's nothing wrong with this state, for God's sake. There's nothing wrong with this state that isn't wrong in every other state. But yeah, it's my honor to hold people upright and have their back, especially people who come in all the time to support stuff we do here on the channel. So thank you, Fred. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you madly. Narjo says, thanks, John. Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Much love to everybody. Please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Maybe some of you are discovering me for the first time as I'm talking about this. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments on everything we talked about. And don't forget that the John Rocha channel is a podcast channel. So if you want to listen to this over again and don't want to watch me, you can download the podcast and the episodes will be there for you to listen to as well and go back to if you need it. So, and I will have time codes for all this stuff some point later tonight. I need to go rest for a little bit, and hopefully that'll help you guys to have to refer to it if you need to refer to it. Anything I said tonight or anything somebody else said as they were sending stuff in. So you guys are amazing. I love you guys madly. Thanks so much for tuning in with me tonight. Please remember what I say at the end of every show, that I do like this, and that is, and especially tonight after all we talked about, whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, next year, I want you to do it. I want you to be able to figure out what it is you need to do that so that you can still be around, because I am the living example of what can happen if you can find your way out of the darkness. My life is so much richer and better and happier and fulfilling than it ever was before, because I finally confronted the stuff that was putting me in that state of mind that was corroding me from the inside out. I always have work to do. I'm always a work in progress. But I hope I can be an example to anybody that if you just confront these issues, get help, get your therapy, you can climb out of it and you can see a brighter day. And you never know what can happen for you. I mean, a loving, fulfilling relationship. Very fortunate to be a success working with my friends, paying my bills, saving money, being in a good place, living in a nice house. Not a great house, not a big house, but a nice house compared to places I've lived before in the past. And all of that happened because I didn't take my life that night. And I was very lucky that I got the help I needed and that I did the work to climb out of this place with the help of so many people. So I can say that as we begin our night of live, begin our week of live nights, I'm saying this as a repetitive thing every night. I'm going to say this. So I just want you guys to think about that and feel that deep in your bones, and figure out what it is you need to do to be in that place so you can navigate out of the bad places when they come for you, especially during the holidays. All right, man. All right, y'all. Sorry. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow night in some version. I don't know what it's going to be. Will it be the spill the tequila? Will it be the hot mic? Will it be just me? We'll see. But I'll let you know, and I'll announce it in the morning. So follow me on all social media at The Rocha Says. All right, take care. Thanks for the Streamlabs, everybody. Thanks for the super chats, and most of all, thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the lively chat. Thanks for the healthy conversations. You guys are amazing, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of The Truth here on the John Rocha channel. Peace.